We are all connected. Happy Memorial Day weekend. It's Sunday, May 24th, 2026. This is a very bland, almost like a seltzery kombucha. I used to make kombucha with the SCOBY and the bucket. Came out pretty good lots of times. All right, we got Video Ninja active and ready to rock for anybody who wants to join. And we have the call-in number. It's in the description. But first, pay attention to that guy in the corner. Make America less gay. Join FTJ. Go pro for only $5 a month. Imagine that. Don't you wish every subscription was that cheap? Don't you wish every... I don't know. It'd be nice if the utilities were that cheap. We'd be able to afford gas. And car repairs, which will be a thing of the past too. Does that bother anybody? That they've destroyed vehicles? They've made the future of driving dreadful. Is that not enough? Like with all the other long history of abuses, as they say? Isn't that kind of like the tipping point? The ruination of one of life's best pleasures of travel, feeling mobile, be able to get back and forth to work, not being in a subscription-based slavery for every function on your vehicle, or digital lock so that you can't do something simple anymore. It requires you to pay the dealership just to get another new, expensive, deeply embedded, horribly engineered plastic part to stick in there. Disposable yet again to break once more. And it's the labor and all the nonsense and all the proprietary equipment for all the digital locks that make the repairs that expensive. I used to think that when I saw on the signs $90 an hour for auto repairs, that was a shit ton. I'm like, wow. Now it's like double that per hour with a minimum of 1 hour build, basically. Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's get into it. Da-da-da-da. Let's jump on here. Wondering if people are getting their notifications. You know, it is Memorial Day weekend, however, though, so I'm sure lots of people are doing cool stuff with their family. Hey, what happened? My attached thing on the top doesn't have the video.ninja thing anymore. Well, we'll have to fix that. Hold on. It used to be up there. I wonder what happened. And then pin. Blink. There it goes. And then I can, I guess, do that one too. I don't think the video.ninja gives me a chime, like a noise. StreamYard lets me know when someone's in. It goes bloop. So I can pin that one too. Can they both pin? No, it's only one or the other. All right, let's pin this one then. There we go. We'll go around here, just get everybody set up, and then we'll head into it. Give people a chance to come in. Oops. What we got going on over here? Yep, looks like we're still We're still rolling. That's from last night. The new subject matter being covered is clashing in my subconscious with the appearance of the narrator. Should have a male. What are you talking about? From yesterday. The shit that people say, man. I'm not gonna be too sad when the eugenics thing happens. I mean, aside from my family and loved ones, it's and the people I've met and the good people around here. Karen, happy Memorial Day Sunday. Daniel, she says, it's because they want us super duper safe and completely love us to death. Vote harder, kids. Yeah. I can't imagine getting into a. Well, I mean, the electric vehicles, they're not going to disclose that they're irradiating you. And all these other sensors and all this other crap that they're putting in just standardized vehicles that apparently have no future anyway because of this declaration that we're going to run out of oil on exactly the 4th of July. That's just so silly for people to not see what they're really doing here. On the solar aphelion, they're saying that's the day because it totally doesn't have anything to do with any other type of calendar or occult meaning or anything like that or symbolic bullshit. I've got a couple things here. We started watching this yesterday, and I wanted to move on to something else. 1893 firmament map here. I think there's 2 videos that basically are the same on that. Unless I already deleted the extra one. Okay. Let me pull up the Rumble. I got Karen here. Damn, they sure can predict the future. Yes, Karen, they most certainly think they can. It's really easy when you have the levers of control everywhere they're necessary. So that anything that you predict, it's easy to do because, you know, you manipulate the fates of all. Nothing occurs without their approval or their dictate. All right. Looks like we got everything going here. Everything looks like it's kind of sort of right, I guess. This is weird. I'm not sure why that's like that. Okay, well, whatever. We're here. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. And we will begin with not this one. I want to begin right over here. It is viewer participation. It's viewer participation Sunday, though. So if anybody would like to calm in, you just gotta kind of let me know, and I can look in here because otherwise I won't be on the screen to know. I'm not. I guess I could pull up the laptop. No, that's not really going to help, though. All right, so let's just move forward, and we'll see how it goes as we go. I want to look at this video real quick.
Our experience has revealed that people come to the appreciation of germ theory fraud through different windows. For me, it was seeing all the failed human transmission attempts, beginning with the Rosenau experiments during the Spanish flu era. In recent years, others have said it was my husband Mark's essay, A Farewell to Virology, his formal refutation of the entire virus model, that initiated their paradigm shift. Indeed, in the last 5 years, a new generation of critics of virology.
Yeah, but what about everybody who came before them? Maybe what got me, you know, I guess it's not really the word trigger. It doesn't really apply here, but the hair raised on my back like an animal about to get into a fight. We're seeing these two guys. These two guys owe a lot to Dr. Stefan Lanka. almost everything, really, because they draw from that. They again pulling up, when you take just enough of the truth and then manipulate it in a way that is beneficial to you. And I see that's what these two do. So they rip off enough of the truth. This is actually what Pasteur did to Béchamp. But then he would make the erroneous, useless conclusions that would not lead anybody to better health, even though some parts of the fraud were, checked out. But it was for the lack of the overall understanding. And Béchamp is the one that people should be looking at because it explains what germ theory doesn't. And the whole idea of the intrusion thing. When you think about how a homeopathic remedy works, it's not enough of the substance to really even be there anymore. It's just the energetic properties of it. So the law of potentization, it's all you're doing is sending the signal. It's the data that your body's missing because of being in a weakened state, most always because of mineral deficiencies, and then an intrusion, because the intrusion that should have been overridden by a healthy environment in your body with healthy functions going on, instead was influenced by this minuscule line of code, let's just call it, or signal, and it affected and influenced something inside of you to change. And then it started running that code. So basically, even if like an outside bacteria that was supposedly bad or something, it's not even what enters through your body and metastasizes or clusters in some area. That's not what's happening. It's your pleomorphic microenzyme taking that code and then creating that thing in the idea that this is what's needed now to fix a problem. So when you send the homeopathic in there, the law of similars is activated and it writes itself again and creates the healthy environment. And you stabilize that through the nutrients, keeping the field and the systems running strong, so that little outside influences don't affect what's going on the inside. So it's not even so much that whatever from the outside would penetrate too deeply. Now, toxins are a different thing. Radiation is a different thing. But the whole idea of a virus, number one, is completely wrong. And if it's bacterial germs, whatever, or being in a septic or an environment of filth, that's different. But virus and germs are typically created for a particular reason within you. And when you're in a lower level of health because of the lack of nutrients, you're malnourished, nutrient deficient, mineral deficient, you start to change on the inside because the environment within you is changing. And the pleomorphic microenzyme are responding to their environment. These are the things that are tinier than cells, they're the building blocks of life. All of that needs to happen is for them to be in a proper, healthy state, and they will maintain that state. But when the food changes, or let's say the toxins build up, then they create what's necessary to continue to ferment, to continue to eat. So if it's bad tissue, they'll eat the bad tissue. If it's toxins or whatever, they'll create the bacteria necessary to do that. And then they'll revert, when that toxin's gone, back to the homeostasis or whatever, the neutral, static, awaiting new obstacles or new positive things to activate in your body to continue to make it heal itself. When other interference occurs, it's like destructive interference, noise from outside. And this could happen by a sympathetic response from somebody else's what they're giving off energetically as their footprint because of what's, going on ill inside of them. The sympathetic response isn't, oh, I really I want to be sick too. No, it's not like that. It's sympathetic in the sense that it's enough to influence you to do the same, to whatever that signal that's being given off of the dis-ease then influences your microzyme to be in that state as well. But again, correctable through nutrients, correctable through being in a healthy environment, fresh air, fresh water, clean food, non-toxic food. Good luck with that. Good luck finding that. But that's all Béchamp stuff there. And that blows away germ theory in and of itself. It's not like these pioneers who've just now figured out this, like, just because a bunch of people don't know this because they're being told a lie, doesn't mean that this concept itself, by itself, isn't still very remedial, as if they're, we're talking about children being excited that they have discovered something brand new, and they're going to exploit the fuck out of it marketing-wise, like these two over here, and, empty your pockets. That I find ridiculous. Do you remember when he had the, what was this? It wasn't even structured water. It was a stupid wand, the anal Emma. Andy Kaufman. Here, let's take a look at the anal Emma. It's in figure 8, like Saturn. But they're saying that's the path of the sun or something, which again, more Kabbalistic bullshit. But anyway, let's have a look. Andrew Kaufman, MD. Remember what he used to do? He was a psychiatrist, guys. So he was the worst of the worst. He was the worst of the worst. And he used to, test new psychiatric drugs, which are horrific. That's very communistic, isn't it not? Isn't that all Soviet Bolshevik shit in this first place to take out dissidents? Let's see about the shop. See if anal Emma is still in the zeolite. So Shilajit, they're charging. Look at this fucking freak. Shilajit for $150. Shilajit isn't even pure fulvic-humic acid. Now take a look at this. I wasn't even trying to go there with this, but since he did that, let's go ahead with it. Go into my website. See that right here? Oh, by the way, go to my site, use code MEM10 for 10% off until Wednesday, June 3rd. That's the Memorial Day weekend discount. Already got a few orders. I sent out some emails today. I'm going to send out some more emails tomorrow. Become a member of FTJ Media, only $5 a month, and there's the website link for that. Click Go Pro, and then it says to join the stream at video.ninja, and then the number's up there. But let's look at my website real quick. Click it, or get a ticket. Now, as amazing and wonderful as all these images are, and by the way, the true best experience visually and navigation-wise is to be on a desktop when you place orders or look at the site. I'm looking into trying to fix the mobile thing. I'm going to talk to them on tomorrow and see if I select a different theme, is it going to destroy everything? I have to rebuild it, or what's going to happen? So I got to figure that out before I press any buttons. And if there's a newer, better theme that they've introduced since then that I might get access to, or they can help me build across the phone lines or whatever, we'll see what I can do. All right. Anyway, Dr. Monzo's link right here. You see Azure Wells says code BB5. It also says click. So let's have a click. Now, we already know what the 90 essentials are, and I'll tell you again if you don't know, but let's scroll down to the Fulvic-Humic blend. Okay. 1.1 ounces is a 3-month supply. The Fulvic-Humic blend is the active part of Shilajit. Shilajit is the decomposed, plant matter oozing out of what they would say like the Himalayas or wherever the hell they pretend that they get it from. Most of that's bullshit. Most of it's bullshit. And usually it's a very low concentration of Fulvic-Humic blend. Shilajit has many different variations of quality, and a lot of times there are also potential contaminants in it. This is why I didn't go the Shilajit route. I first started looking and seeking out Shilajit 6-7 years ago. 6-7. When I thought I had potential. I was starting to be convinced that I was either Asperger's or autistic, and maybe that it was a heavy metal problem. And since I've been taking these supplements, I am a different person, better than I was. You wouldn't have recognized my personality probably 8 years ago. So maybe some of that had to do with becoming a dad, and just the switch was flipped, and I became what I needed to be. Had purpose. You know what I mean? That type of thing, like a true purpose. That could have been it too. But anyhow, let's take a look at this real quick. So 1.1 ounce, you're looking at $45.75. That's less than a third of what they're charging for the Shilajit. And remember, this is just the Fulvic-Humic. It's not, Shilajit has other, it's like saying like borax, but what you want is boron. There's 12% boron in borax. So if you take a boron supplement, it's just the boron. You can totally eat borax too if you absolutely need to, but you're only getting 12% of that as boron. And there's a similarity here comparatively to what Shilajit is. But the hype and the fad and the trend and what they've made popular is that word, Shilajit, or take a big Shilajit on yourself. Okay, so now let's take a look. Let's see how big is this thing? 35-day, try it, feel it, love it, guarantee. High altitude, Himalayan, I told you Himalayan, Shilajit resin, 15 grams per jar. Okay. I already know the answer to this, but we're going to go with it anyway. Like 36 grams is an ounce, right? Half an ounce. A little bit over half an ounce. Half an ounce, kids. Serving size, 100 milligrams. Okay. 15 grams is half an ounce. Say it with me. 15 grams is half an ounce. Oh, maybe it's 28 grams in an ounce. Is it 28, something like that? Yeah. Forgive me. All right, so then we're looking at that. Now let's go back over here. Fulvic-Humic blend, 1.1 ounces versus half an ounce. You're getting half an ounce for 3 times as much, or you're getting the Fulvic-Humic blend. And this is how you should treat it. It's like Shilajit, but better because it's the thing that you're actually taking the Shilajit for is the Fulvic-Humic blend, the fulvic-humic acid. The minerals that the plant has made bioavailable to you thanks to the microbes in the soil of a a forgotten time before they started poisoning everything. And now if the Fulvic-Humic blend that they're sourcing this from, or I'm sorry, the Shilajit, is in an area that is less whimsical and magical as the Agartha type visual that a person has when they think of the Himalayas, and it's a bunch of dirty nomads pissing and shitting off the rocks, or whatever the case may be. Maybe they also spray over that. We don't know. But the fact of the matter is there still a decent source of minerals in that area? What is the quality of the Shilajit? That's the question. Himalaya is kind of a big place. What does that actually mean? Where? And is it an industrial area? Is it industrially polluted? Is there lead in it? Is it, you know what I mean? Like, all questions that should be asked, not just Himalayas. I think of a snow-capped mountain really high in the air when I think of that. But that's a pretty vast area. So, unknown versus Fulvic-Humic blend from a repository or deposit, or however way you say it. I'll tell you where exactly. I think it actually says in here. Azure Wells Fulvic-Humic Blend Energy Earth Powder provides they have to fix that, wide range of essential nutrients and trace elements that support overall health and well-being. This product offers multiple health benefits, including, now here's what's funny. When you look over here, what do they say? Oh God, subscriptions. I thought they were, make sure you have enough. Yep, make sure you buy a lot. 100 milligrams a day lasts for 150 days. So they say. They're telling you to take less. It's less concentrated, and they're telling you to take less. I don't see the benefit there. You're taking an eighth of a teaspoon of the fulvic-humic acid, and it's going to last you 90 days. Actually, 100 days. Okay, so none of that tells you anything. Oh, so here's the enjoy energy and vitality. They're not saying that that's what this does. They're just telling you to enjoy energy and vitality. Endless energy. Yeah, that's fun. Mental sharpness and a surge of vitality to support you across all your biggest goals, dreams, and commitments. So essentially, essential minerals. Have the minerals that your body needs. Okay, check. We can do that for 45 and it'll last us 3 months. Boost, it would last them the same amount of time as that, but you're going to actually get more of what you're looking for out of it with the Fulvic-Humic blend. Boost sexual confidence. Well, assuming that everything else isn't wrong with what you're doing, these are very outlandish claims, right? Without your diet being in check, meaning you're not taking a bunch of bad food in, you're getting plenty of exercise or at least activity, you're moving, you're not sedentary, and sunlight's a positive thing that in your life. You should have some of that daily when it's available, and you shouldn't be in a toxic environment, and your water should be clean and your air should be clean. All these other factors have to be handled before you can expect that some magic black dust is going to make you feel better in any way, because of all the other things that could be stressing your body out, especially in a weakened state. Yes, minerals are really that freaking amazing that you might even overcome some of that or start to reject. Because here's the funny thing about positive thinking and healthy minds. You'll start to not like certain things that you might have liked before. Like you might not want to, if you like greasy burgers with buns that were soggy, you might not be as interested in that anymore. When your mind starts to think healthier, you don't crave the bad stuff. And it's like the parasitic mind isn't screaming at you to do bad shit to yourself anymore. So stay youthful. A wide range of potential anti-aging properties to keep you, this is minerals again, keep you at your best while others resign to a fate of slow erosion. This guy is such a fucking ass clown. He doesn't actually tell you or give you the tools that you need to understand, nutrients. He just tries to sell you piecemeal fractionated nutrition and doesn't even explain what it is. It's just the magic shilajit from somewhere over there in the big mountains. Don't worry about it. Don't think about it too much. $150, please. Oh yeah, make sure you have enough. Get 2. Melts stress away. I don't know. Is this okay because he prices it so high that it would only be people who have a lot of disposable income that would just drop it anyway? So do they deserve to be taken advantage of? I don't see it that way. I think it's still kind of rotten. I mean, if they're yoga mat ladies who, spit on plebes, then maybe I don't care if they get robbed, but still. Melt stress away. A natural stress melt, like the Gaia TV women, frolicking in tall grass, looking like hippies, but they're worth a couple $1 million. A natural stress melter, keeping you physically strong and emotionally resilient as life gets lifey. Life gets lifey. Thank you, Professor. The shilajit is nature's Viagra, according to this Jew. Isn't Kaufman a Jewish name? I'm guessing. It's been used as a treasured remedy in Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years. Yes, but the understanding that fulvic-humic acid is the actual active ingredient. Let's take a look if you don't believe me. What makes... Oh, sorry. A shill. Emphasis on the word shill. Or grifter. Is there any grifter jit out there? Yeah, let's go special. So special. High fulvic-humic acid content. Well, you know what has even higher content of fulvic-humic acid? Fulvic-humic acid. Because it's all that thing. High fulvic acid content. Shilajit is densely packed with fulvic acid, a powerful antioxidant and anti-inflammatory agent. Also, shit tons of minerals. It's known to help the body absorb other nutrients and deliver them directly into the cells. So, it doesn't have mitochondrial energy boost. It doesn't have ancient Ayurvedic heritage. It doesn't have common. These are all descriptions of the first thing. Do you see what they do here? What is the main thing that we're talking about? And it's like, oh, the shilajit will help with the process. This is a juvenile mind's understanding of what essential minerals the body needs. So they're preying upon your ignorance. And you have people who present themselves as saviors during COVID. Oh my God, we still owe him so much because he told us things that other people were talking about for 20 years before that and 120 years before that. But, since they made it popular, they're the face on it now. They branded themselves this way. This was what Tom Cowan did. This is what Andrew Kaufman did. And wouldn't you know, they're buddies. Wouldn't you know? Or how about somebody who knows what the fuck they're talking about and why this thing helps? And oh, look, it's a third of the price. It's on sale now, so it's 20% off basically because there's another 10% more it would cost on the other site, Azure Living Well, but we're on Azure Standard. And you're getting a night discount for the BB5 code. And this is a 3-month plus 10-day supply. So it's the same amount that same amount of days worth of usage in this 32-gram powder as they're saying you're getting for 15 grams over there. Smaller doses, and it's not all shilajit isn't all fulvic-humic blend, but fulvic-humic blend is all fulvic-humic blend. Azure's fulvic-humic blend energy powder provides a wide range of, I already said that, and then they tell you what to do. So it's a 50-50 of the fulvic and the humic. As I said, mitochondrial energy production, right, because of the minerals. Minerals sourced from rich soil in Canada, not rocks. Ooh, ouch, right, because we're talking about minerals from rocks are not absorbable. And a lot of times when you buy supplements at the store and you're like, oh, look, I have a calcium supplement that's this big. And yeah, you get like 8% absorption and you get less absorption, they say, as you get older. But the reason being is because you don't have enough minerals to break it down. Supports healthy digestion and overall well-being. May help promote body's natural detoxification process. Oh, that's starting to sound familiar. Promotes absorption of essential nutrients like minerals and vitamins, supporting whole body mineral health. Humic minerals derived from decomposed organic matter are rich in organic compounds that can enhance nutrient absorption, support the immune system, and help detoxify the body by bonding to unwanted substances. Fulvic minerals, a subset of humic minerals, are particularly beneficial due to their smaller molecular size. More surface area, more absorption. You know that. You know that from school, right? You break things down smaller, there's more surface area, there's more sides, you get it, right? And then, which allows for better absorption of nutrients and minerals into cells. Together, these minerals can help improve nutrient uptake, promote better digestion, and support energy production, making them valuable additions to a balanced diet and health regimen. And then 1/16 of a teaspoon is what they say to take. That's what you start off with. 1/8 of a teaspoon is, and some people will take even less. I take the 1/8. Bam, bam. All right, so I wasn't even trying to go there. I was just looking to see if he had the his anal probe still. Oh, we got somebody in here. Hold on. Oh, who is it? That's unmuted. Hello? You still there? Here, hold on. You still there? Can you hear me? Hold on. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Timmy, can you hear me? No, maybe I have to do that thing again. Hold on. No, I'm on it. I'm on it. Can you hear me? I don't think you can. Hello? Person. Hold on. Hello? How come I can't?
Me.
Hello? Oh, can you hear me?
Hold on. Let me rejoin.
All right. Oh, it's Bushmaster. Awesome. Here, I got to put my thing on here. Let me do that. Sync and start virtual camera. There we go. And I drop into, I guess, scene 5, maybe. Is that how they do that? I don't remember. All right. Can you hear me now?
Hey, what's up, Dan?
Awesome.
Can you hear me, man?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Let me go and
doing some late night gardening duties.
Nice.
I'll give you a garden report. We have got some 4-legged white-tailed Jews who have been invading our garden. I don't want to break the law by getting rid of them. So I put up a bunch of solar lights so I can see at night. Every once in a while at night, I'll come out and look. Because if I see that light turn on, then I know these Jews are out there eating all my green beans and stuff, man.
That's hilarious.
It's not so much of a serious topic, but unless
I think we're doubling.
if the lights go out and the electricity is off, this is a serious topic. This is a serious thing to consider.
Yes, sir. I think we're good now.
I've had a long day. I just joined the show, and I know you were talking about the health stuff, and Dan, we'll always commend you for taking the torch on the health issue and running that forward. And I think it's very important that everybody listen to you.
Well, thank you.
Because there's a whole lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah, and even when people are giving or providing some sort of solution, it's usually with a catch. They're not giving you the full picture, and they're doing something that doesn't give you any knowledge as how it all works or why. So they keep you dependent on them for answers. And so you're basically in a patient-doctor relationship with them because they're not telling you anything.
Right. Yeah, the allopathic stuff, it just needs to go. And right. I think I mentioned I read Joe Wallach's book a long time ago, and I'm happy that I'm glad to see Dr. Glidden and what's his name, Azure Health.
Dr. Manzo.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm just glad to see that they're doing that and continuing that, and because it's not a ripoff. I don't think it's a ripoff. I don't think there's any Jewy, we'll get you in the end kind of thing going on here with those guys, man.
Right. And it's funny because, I mean, just thinking about the type of work that led up to it with all the autopsies, the veterinary autopsies, the human autopsies, and the long time it took to determine this from Wallach. And then someone goes, hey, he's quarter J on the great-grandfather's left nut, whatever. It's like, is that really... So all the stuff that he did was therefore not legitimate because he's not a practicing small hat. You know what I mean? It's like, Yeah, I find how people try
don't
to.
care. I
Yeah,
don't care.
yeah,
I don't care because I've seen too many people get poisoned by all the jabs and not living a healthy life. And so people need to. We got a big mission in front of us. It's the most important mission of all, and you can't fight it if you're not fit. You can't fight if you're not healthy.
right. That's correct.
And if you got to be healthy.
Yeah, I mean that's the main thing. I think if a lot of people miss the being active daily. I mean, lifestyles being what they are, people being busy, and if you have a cuticle job or if you have a sedentary job or whatever, it's going to be that way. But it's you got to find a way to stay active, walk, do something, because just like you've conditioned for boxing. That stuff will take the kick the shit out of you. You'll be so tired that you won't even. You might be stronger. You might know how to fight, but you won't even be able to lift your arms up. You'll be so gassed out. And that's. Are you there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
still here.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm listening. Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right.
That was a long time ago for me, but
Right.
yeah, you, what I think is, and I'm going through it. You get to your 50s, you kind of give up. Your 60s, you give up. Your 70s, you give up. People in their 80s, they just give up. And I always tell people, man, hey, if you stop, it'll catch you.
Right.
So always keep going. Keep going. Whatever you're doing, keep going. And I know that's kind of a cliche kind of statement, but people need to, stay active. And whatever it is, just keep going, man, and get healthy. And, you're, don't eat junk. Don't eat the fried seed oil kind of stuff. For God's sakes, do not go eat fast food French fries. Now,
Yeah.
Dan, one of my first jobs when I was I 15, 16, I worked at McDonald's, and we actually used lard in our fryers, and we would put
That's
lard in the fryers, real lard,
amazing.
not
That's
not
awesome.
yeah, not
Whatever that mystery oil is now.
right, not Crisco,
That's
just
sludge.
real lard. We used to put it in the fryers. I'd say, man, if you eat French fries cooked in lard, that might actually be good for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I give you the right
You know,
fats.
you
Yeah, for sure.
right, exactly, yeah. But today, if someone give me a French fry or something from a fast food joint, I'd chew on it and then spit it out. I don't want to eat that.
Right. Yeah, I know. That's the sad part too, because I like hot sauce, right? I would go and get chicken wings a lot just to have I love the spicy. Going to different restaurants,
Oh,
having the
well,
chicken wings, but I don't know what the heck they're cooking it in, So
I got a friend of mine. He's got a pizza joint, and he uses lard for his fryers. So his chicken wings, that would actually be healthy for you.
Yeah,
That would be good. That'd be good. Yeah, eat it. You get collagen, you get, proteins and fats, and it's not cooked in, garbage, clarified motor oil.
that's pretty much right. What it is too. It's like they take the
It's,
rancid smell and taste out of it for a time, and then they
no, that's exactly what vegetable oil is. It's clarified motor oil.
Jesus
Same
Christ.
kind of oil, just clarified. 100%, man. I know.
That's so gross. And then they have the hydrogenated oils and all the other stuff too that they mix in with
Yeah, the hydrogenated stuff. Yeah,
yeah,
you do not want to eat that, man. You never go. If you know a place that is cooking their stuff in lard or tallow,
tallow,
eat
yeah.
it.
Right.
If not, don't eat it. Don't ever eat it.
Yeah, if it costs a couple dollars more to have it cooked in something that's because tallow and lard aren't used because corporations found a way to make it cheaper and they don't give a shit about your health.
It is more expensive.
Yeah.
And I use it too. So I got a clear conscience on not poisoning people.
Oh, you use it at your restaurant, you're saying?
Yes.
That's good. I'm gonna have to go to Georgia now. That's where you're at, right?
Anytime, man.
Cool.
Anytime. We'll go fishing, dude.
Awesome.
We'll go offshore. I got a couple buddies that are captains, man. We'll
Oh, cool.
just give me a call and we'll do it, man.
Nice.
All right, Dan,
okay.
Let me get back in the house. I got a bunch of grandbabies.
Oh, cool.
Running around. I need to make sure they're out. They're all out right now. I just need to check on them.
You got a family over there for the holiday weekend?
We got 5 grandbabies, and I think they're all asleep right now. I just need to do one final check before I go to bed.
Cool, man. Well,
because the 8-year-old, if he's up, he gets into everything.
That's funny.
Yeah, if you don't hear him running around doing stuff, then you know he's doing something sneaky.
Yeah, it's too quiet.
Yeah, he's gonna get into stuff, man. So I know if I don't hear him, I gotta check. Either he's asleep, which he should be by now, or he's getting into something and doing something sneaky. So Grandpa's got to go over there and square his ass away.
Alrighty, sir. I appreciate you coming in and saying hello. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I wish you and your family awesome memories to be made throughout the weekend, sir.
All right, Dan. Take care.
Take
Later.
care. Bye. So while we were doing that, I kept on seeing things were hiccuping, and I then noticed that it was saying that the encoding was overloaded. Now that's not a weakness on my computer, because we built a really good one together here. So I don't think that I really know what that's about. But for now, I can just go click, and then if anybody else wants to jump in, you know how to do it now. Let's do a refresh on that, reload. There you go. So now you know how it works. So going back to this, and this guy here, others have turned to their Medicamentum Authentica Shilajit for its rich mineral content, including fulvic and humic acids. Well, how about something that's straight legitimately fulvic and humic acids? Bringing the potential youthing. Wow, I thought this guy was an intelligent person. Youthing effects to the skin, bones, and joints. Right, minerals. Got it. It's like, just tell them that it's minerals and that it's processed through a plant, making it bioavailable. No, they won't say that. They just said, no, this magical shilajit. It's the only place you can get it. We're magical. We source it from the magical Himalayas. Don't ask where. Don't ask any direct questions. Just listen to all of our claims. Look at this guy. Look at me. I'm youthful. Oi, Faye. I'm youthful. Dr. Andy. Oh yeah, has a PhD in BS. Oh no, it says he has a Bachelor of Science from MIT in molecular biology. Still though, he's got a PhD in bullshit. Completed his psychiatric training at Duke University. Yeah, the Blue Devils. Yeah, we get Duke University magazines here, or the alumni mags. I've noticed an awful lot of symbolism throughout the years looking at those things. What do you mean you're not seeing me? What the hell are you talking about, lady? Oh, okay. I get it. There you go. There you go. Sorry. I was reading without moving the thing. Thank you, Karen. There you go. There's Oi Faye. That's what I was saying. Look at me, I'm youthful. I got Shilajit. And Schmeckle. Dr. Andy has a PhD and BS from all these places. And after graduating from the Medical University of South Carolina, he spent many years practicing as a practicing forensic psychiatrist. I'm going to bullshit you to death. Okay, somewhere in here there's Syracuse involved, because that is how I started paying attention in the first place, because I was born in Syracuse. So I don't know if he was practicing there or whatever, but the dude was in New York at the time that the whole COVID thing happened. He's got his gold chains because he's a real G. Heck yeah. 15 pounds. What's he doing with those? Those are curls? Oh yeah, that's awesome. Oh God, help me put these down. All right, it's being silly now. But anyway, let's see what other wonderful products they've got here, because I want to find the anal Emma. Free resources, podcast, learn. Maybe he dropped it. Maybe it was even too ridiculous for him. Oh, the consultations. Oh boy, you want to see? Yeah, thousands. I actually looked it up once and I was mind blown by it. So yeah, so right now it's only the 2 products. Let's go look for the anal Emma. Am I saying I'm not spelling it right or what? What the hell? Yeah, okay. Don't fucking do that. Don't fucking do that. I just wanted the fucking spelling correct, you cocklicker. Jesus Christ. Give me the right spelling. Give me the right fucking spelling. Thank you. I don't know why I didn't just correct it in there. Here we go. Now this is something that he was selling. Him and Tom Cowan. Maybe it was Tickety Tom that was doing it the most. I don't know. But this anal Emma over here. It's what do they call it? They call it it's not structured water. I forgot what they call it. Jesus Christ. 2 wands for $600 to stir your fucking water with. Science of structured water. Well, the structured water is in the wand, so they tell you. So you get a crystal wand full of water, and then you stir it in other water, and they're saying that influences the other water to be structured. Okay, but that doesn't do anything about purification. You still have to have reverse osmosis, multi-filtered water to begin with. You don't just run tap water and then structure it. Revitalize your hydration. Transform ordinary tap water. See, that's the part that's not correct. They're telling you right there to use tap water with all of the fucking... Is this not like Jewish sorcery right here to tell you to drink the poisoned, the fluoridated water with chlorine and yeah, it will have all those traumas. And maybe if that wand actually works, that doesn't even touch the water. It's not mixing with the water. You're stirring it into it, and you're anticipating that through the crystal, it's emanating some sort of maybe. But how long does it take before the structured water is no longer structured? Putting it next to your cell phone? Putting it next to, and how do you maintain its like, you need a Faraday, you know what I mean? You need a Faraday case for it. Other things can upset the structured water. Transform ordinary tap water into coherent structured water, but it's still got all the shit in it. Coherent water coherent, that's what they were saying, coherent. Like coherent light would be a laser. Non-coherent would be the rest of the light that you see. When it's focused, it's coherent light, that would be like a laser. Support holistic wellness. Experience the natural benefits of harmonious structured water. Oh boy. Who's fighting? More bullshit, but for them to tell you to use tap water already is a big no-no. It says the wand contains a special magical stable mother water, like having a mother in your apple cider vinegar. Is that what? Okay. that emits a coherent frequency. Okay. Quantum using that quantum word to try to make people feel stupid because it's just counting transfer. Quantum, quantify, counting, beam counter. Now, does it sound as freaking impressive to say quantum? No. Through quantum phenomena and other hocus pocus Jewish mystery magic, woo! This coherent state is transferred to the surrounding water. These are called callouts. Coherent structure formation. Regular water molecules align into a highly ordered hexagonal crystalline structure that you will never be able to verify unless you're putting it under a microscope. And then you'll say, oh, look. No, I don't know. Analemma, filters, and bottled water. Ordinary and unstructured water. Limited cellular hydration, temporary unstable effects. This is filters. What is this? Reverse osmosis and bottled water. Potential plastic leaching additives. Recurring costs. Yeah, but here's the problem. You need this to then make structured. So for them to say, oh yeah, but it's way better just to use your tap water and stir it, this is fucking stupid. Numerous health benefits. So what they're saying is that the Jews have destroyed your world so much and imparted so much trauma and bullshit and toxins and psychiatric medicines and every other thing that water goes through because it is memory. It contains information, and having structured water basically means you're not drinking someone else's trauma. And you can do that through ring magnets in a tube. You don't need to spend $200 for this magic wand. You can honestly and truthfully create structured water through the method that Ken Wheeler has shown you on his videos. And it probably costs maybe 30, 20, maybe not even $30. Everything costs more now, but I mean, it doesn't. After you buy the magnets once and you have the tubing, you just keep doing it, right? Oh, this is the suggested one. The most popular one, of course, is getting 2 of them because, transform any water into the most bioavailable state in seconds. Oh, you get a luxury one for an extra $250. I remember that too. It has like a cork or oak or something like that case. Still not a Faraday cage. Wonderful. All right, well, this is what they were into, and let me go ahead and maybe Tom Cowan's site is the one that has the analemma. Let's see, Tom Cowan's Garden or something like that. Yeah, there we go. Let's see if they get the fuck out of here. Not anymore. I think they dropped it because it was really that ridiculous. Because I know for a fact it was on Andrew Kaufman's site before. Apple cider vinegars and fire cider. He doesn't. They call it Tom Cowan's Garden, but I would doubt if all these things were from his actual garden. Olive paste. Dr. Cowan's Garden. Hey, look, it's on the label. It must be true. Anyway, so grifters is basically what I was getting at. I have a cat that won't shut up. Dr. Jennifer Daniels had the hook it up to your shower enema. Structure your fluoride and other chemical water, friends. That's right. Maybe his consultation fee is so high because he comes to your house to give you personal instructions on an enema. Yeah. Well, I mean, he is oy vey, so let me just go ahead and verify that too. My rascal's not going to stop meowing at my door, so I'm going to have to get up in a second, so I'm going to find you a video. But let me, Rebecca's not back yet, so let me go ahead and, what was I doing? This is how sometimes you do this, and it's actually funny, right? You know what? Let me see if I do like that, and then I say anal. Is there any videos left of him talking about the anal lemma? Yeah, Dr. Andrew Kaufman. Use the anal lemma wand for your water. Here it is right here. Dr. Andrew Kaufman, public thought you thought you were hydrated. You drink water. Maybe you even love it. Maybe even a lot of it, sorry. You've got your fancy glass bottle. What the fuck is this? What am I looking at? Use the anal lemma wand for your water. Oh, Jesus. Here it is. Drink normal water. These people are fucking crazy. It's like any way to make you feel better about drinking all the poisons that the Jews want you to drink. Yeah, sponsored by Jew. Come on, man. Come on. And I'm not... I don't want to say this. I don't want this to be true about a group of people, but it's like... if it is what it is, it is what it is. I don't want to have to keep on pointing out that that's what they are. They're in this cult of supremacy, but it is what it is. All right. I like to do this. IRISH question mark. And then they go, no, he's a... No, they didn't do it this time. Based in Syracuse. See? Andrew Kaufman was an MD based in Syracuse. He was a psychiatrist who was jerky. Neuroendocrine cancer research. Oh boy. Thank you. And we're so lucky. I only think that's the same Andrew Kaufman. There's an Andrew D. Kaufman. There's an Andrew this Kaufman. There's an Andrew J. Kaufman. It's a very common name. Rascal, shush. All right, hold on. Andrew K. Kaufman. I need to see a picture for this. Wrong fucking guy. It is an Ashkenazi Jewish name, though, we know. So it says, Kaufman is my paternal side of the family's original Ashkenazi Jewish name. So, regardless, the last name Kaufman, I mean, I guess it could also be considered possibly German, I don't know, but it's Ashkenazi Jew, according to them. All right. So now there's that, and he looks like an Oive, so I mean, it's potential there. And if you say not that matters, like, yeah, I wish that was true too. I wish that was true. So where were we on this panel? I didn't get too far before I stopped it. What killed the Native populations? Well, you're going to have to find out without me for a second while I go fix the cat so he doesn't keep meowing. Boing, 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 boing. 38 views. Woohoo. It's somebody re-uploaded it. It's not the original. I know, Rascal, I'm coming.
So-called contagious diseases have been working overtime to dismantle every aspect of the pathogen and contagion concepts. The dissection of the foundational science has led to the complete unraveling of any evidence for viruses and alleged germs.
Oh, sorry. When we get back, I'll go to the comments. And also, I need to double check here something. Okay, cool. We do have people on FTJ. I needed to be sure because I got word that there were some things going on to the Brazilian servers, and they don't have the right CrowdSec or whatever that's needed to actually stop the DDoS attacks. Like, literally, they could fix this. But it said the last two videos that I did, the last two streams, they were broken or missing files because they didn't appear, even though they said they were uploaded. They didn't appear. The last one that it did was the Weimar vibes. The Weimar vibes. The W is actually a double V. All right. He said, I typed that before you looked up his name. Now I wonder the Ashkenazi suffered so little during COVID. Thought it were structured allotment of vaccines and higher side treason. My bad. Bushmaster says BS degree equals bovine excrement. It's nice. Bullshit. Exactly. All right. I will be back Rascal's he's turning up the gas there. He's cranking up the volume. This cat, man. It's a great cat, but just when he wants something, he wants it yesterday. Where were we just at? This one? Is it the book? Probably. All right. What killed the native populations? And how can we do it to others? No, I'm just kidding.
Bacterial or otherwise, causing disease. Despite this, we still hear people say, well, didn't infectious diseases devastate the indigenous population when the colonists arrived in insert country here? So let's see if we can help with this question and hopefully bring a few more people out from under the germ theory spell. Over the years, we have been sent dozens of stories involving alleged accounts of Europeans bringing infectious diseases to other parts of the world. We can't cover all of them in this video, but some representative examples of how this is usually framed are as follows. The Spanish used smallpox blankets to wipe out native South American populations in the 1500s. The Maori population in New Zealand became badly affected by contagious diseases after the arrival of the British in the 1800s. Native populations in the New World were immunologically unprepared for Old World diseases and were devastated by the introduced germs. There is a lot to unpack here, and we will come back to some of the specifics. But the first thing I usually ask is, can you provide some definitive evidence to back up this claim? Spoiler alert, nothing has ever been forthcoming. At best, the claimant provides some data showing a dramatic decline in total population numbers and implies there could be only one explanation for such a phenomenon. Obviously, this is inadequate, and we need to approach things in a more logical way, as well as test hypotheses through a scientific approach. The textbook, Genocide, a comprehensive introduction, states that devastation to a population can come through genocidal massacres, slavery and forced indentured labour, mass population removals to barren reservations, sometimes involving death marches en route and generally leading to widespread mortality and population collapse upon arrival, deliberate starvation and famine, exacerbated by destruction and occupation of the native land base and food resources. You would be forgiven for thinking that these atrocities would be sufficiently adequate explanations for what killed off many native populations in the past. And it is not limited to undeveloped regions, as the populations in developed countries can suffer the same fate when belligerent foreign governments, or at least their puppet masters, have decided to invade other territories. Unfortunately, the genocide textbook also slips into acceptance of germ theory ideology and goes on to list two more factors implicated in population devastation. The first is biological warfare, using pathogens, especially smallpox and plague, to which the indigenous peoples had no resistance. And the second is spreading of disease via the reduction of Indians to densely crowded and unhygienic settlements. The second point has some validity in that many diseases do increase when humans are living in confined and unhygienic conditions. However, it is not because of claimed spreading, but because of simultaneous exposure to toxic environmental factors. With regard to alleged biological warfare, as usual, there is no evidence provided outside of hearsay and some opinion pieces. Wikipedia's entry for smallpox mentions one such account related to Pontiac's War between the British and the native Indians in 1700s North America. Under the biological warfare section, it reports on an apparent attempt to introduce smallpox to the Indians, stating that on 24th of June 1763, William Trent, a local trader and commander of the Fort Pitt militia, wrote, "Out of our regard for them, we gave them 2 blankets and a handkerchief out of the smallpox hospital. I hope it will have the desired effect." The effectiveness of this effort to broadcast the disease is unknown.
Is that it?
We have produced numerous presentations related to this topic, including Bioweapon BS and When You Wish Upon a Bioweapon. We have shown that there is no evidence they can make a microbial bioweapon in the 21st century. However, with our next example, we are expected to believe that the Spanish had perfected one 500 years ago. And if there was such a thing as a smallpox virus, how did the conquistadors deliver it to South America? Is it proposed that there was a human incubator who had the disease but was able to travel the high seas for 5 or 6 weeks? On arrival, the person then contaminated a blanket, and once it was taken up by the unsuspecting natives, it seeded a smallpox outbreak. Again, where is the evidence for such a fantastic story? Even on the mistaken establishment terms that it is a contagious entity, this 2012 paper in the Frontiers in Cellular and Infection Microbiology journal states that the mode of smallpox transmission was never conclusively established. This is because there are no human-to-human transmission experiments showing it to be contagious. The author fumbles around with epidemiological studies, various models and case reports before clutching at straws and declaring fine particle aerosols were the most frequent and effective mode of smallpox transmission. Note that the blankets hypothesis does not get a look in here. The paper also reported that Fenner et al. 1988 state that transmission on public transport was rare because patients seldom travelled after becoming ill. I guess at this point someone is going to play the asymptomatic superspreader card for the conquistadors, or perhaps they'll claim that the Spanish ships were not a form of public transport. Anyway, to be fair to the establishment, they spend comparably little effort on the human incubator and blankets fairy story. They attribute the majority of deaths in the Americas to atrocities carried out by men. For our next example, we can look at one in my part of the world and consult the Wikipedia entry for the Moriori genocide. It states that the Moriori genocide was the mass murder and enslavement of the Moriori people, the indigenous ethnic group of the Chatham Islands, by members of the mainland New Zealand iwi, Ngāti Motunga and Ngāti Tama from 1835 to 1863. The invaders murdered around 300 Moriori and enslaved the remaining population. This, together with introduced Western diseases, caused the population to drop from 1,700 in 1835 to 100 in 1870. For those of you not familiar with propaganda campaigns in New Zealand, this is a classic example. Wikipedia describes a massacre carried out by some Maori tribes and then waters it down by inserting, quote, introduced Western diseases into the mix. Now, it does not specify what these diseases are, but one would assume that they include alleged infectious diseases. However, the two references provided do not back up such a claim. In fact, the first makes no mention of these diseases. The second reference actually states, the arrival of European settlers in 1791 marked the start of a long journey of adversity for the Moriori people due to the threat of new diseases. In addition, the Moriori were invaded by two iwi Māori, Ngāti Motunga and Ngāti Tama, between 1835 and the early 1860s. A sixth of the Moriori population were murdered, and those left behind were taken as slaves, which caused the Moriori population to drop from 1,700 to about 100. Now it becomes apparent just how deceptive the Wikipedia entry is. The cited news article simply stated that Western diseases were a, quote, threat from the late 1700s onwards, but did not quantify what this was. Then it stated that the Moriori population rapidly went from 1,700 to about 100, clearly related to the murder and slavery carried out by the Maori tribes in the mid-1800s. The attempt to blame germs from Europeans and Asians goes into overdrive in Wikipedia's entry for Maori people, where it states, Maori suffered high mortality rates from Eurasian infectious diseases such as influenza, smallpox and measles, which killed an estimated 10 to 50% of Maori. Again, this is standard fare in present-day New Zealand. Perhaps they didn't get the memo that other regions are backing down on the germs killing the indigenous people rumours. Anyway, let's have a look at the citations provided by Wikipedia. The first is a largely unreferenced newspaper piece from 2006 that opens with, Maori depopulation in the south was chiefly an unintended consequence of contact completed by early assimilation and intermarriage. The second citation is a much more detailed one in the form of a 1973 paper published in the Population Studies Journal. This attempts to quantify birth and death rates in the Maori population from the mid-19th century up to World War I. Some of the staggering figures from the late 1800s are an infant death rate of 20 to 41% and a life expectancy of between 32.5 and 37.5 years. So the Maoris were doing...
But they also live like idiots. Most of these people weren't even able to like grow food or understand or master agriculture. And I would question whether or not they knew how to discard their own feces and urine.
Very poorly overall at that time. The paper concluded that the evidence points very clearly to extremely low levels of survivorship resulting from epidemic diseases.
Well, that would be beginning from within then.
Mentioning measles and influenza. However, it should be noted that there were no...
Again, as if they were viruses, as if they were exterior things. Those are things that occur to you because something is wrong either in your environment or what you're eating or not eating and what you're not getting from nutrients that make you more susceptible to everything else.
No official records concerning the Maori population before 1858, which is decades after Europeans first arrived in New Zealand. So the earlier figures in the paper are all based on estimates. If someone is going to cite this paper as evidence for the infectious diseases...
And the thing, I don't know, I guess I missed the thing about the U.S. natives and, you know, the blanket pass. If there's some sort of toxins and they're introducing them, and also whatever, yeah, I could totally see that you introduce something into the environment that they're not used to. There's a shock to the system, but it's not because of a contagion. It's because of an introduction of something that is toxic, and the eruptions on the skin, i.e., smallpox, is an extreme reaction to toxins. So something else is going on that's causing that toxin to occur or to build up. Something's signaling. And does that mean that it was coming off the... Maybe it was coming off the blankets, but I don't know what their explanation was, so I'm going to have to go back and look at it because it doesn't look like I was here on time for that. My bad. Cat required some assistance. He wanted me to feed him and then take him out.
Claim, then there are numerous deficiencies. Putting aside the lack of foundational evidence for germ theory for the moment, they would still need to provide more indirect evidence. This would include evidence that conditions such as influenza did not exist for Maori prior to their contact with the rest of the world.
Well, again, how can she say that when we know that these words are not nouns but adjectives? They're expressive of or explaining a set of symptoms which indicate what's happening internally. Influenza. Oh, and there's so many different strains. It's like you've never ever proven that that's even a thing, and now you're talking about strains. The mainstream I'm talking about, not her.
Unfortunately, the Maori did not have a writing system, so their history prior to the arrival of Europeans...
Oh, that's not wonderful? They were there for how many hundreds, thousands of years? We never communicate, I guess. We just grunt at each other and bend each other over when we want to have kids. That's what a great way to develop. Wonderful. It's like, I'm going to kill you here and then drag your worthless corpse over here as I take whatever I want.
Is largely unknown. There is also the ever-present problem of disease diagnosis. How were cases of measles diagnosed in the alleged outbreaks?
Well, I mean, they look super clean. I can't imagine anything going wrong here. Has he got a club in his hand? Beaver tail? What the fuck am I looking at?
In the 1800s. The information we are given is simply in the form of, quote, there was a major measles epidemic in this year. In our own lifetimes, we have just witnessed the monumental fraud of sickness and death being attributed to the single entity known as COVID-19. Our regular viewers will be well aware of our numerous publications covering this issue since 2020, and our latest book, The Final Pandemic, also provides a comprehensive overview of this issue. It becomes even more nebulous when dealing with sketchy accounts from previous centuries. On this matter, you can watch the video Exploding the Spanish Flu Myth, another of our joint productions with the Health Freedom Defense Fund.
Come on.
No one is denying the occurrence of episodes of mass sickness and death historically, but the focus on the germ has led to the, quote, theory to be moulded to the accounts and vice versa. Please see my presentation on the plague for a well-known example of this problem, where the foundational science does not back up the official narrative.
Something tells me she's not going to say, oh, it could have been all the poisons and dead bodies of children that the Jews were tossing down wells. She's probably not going to say that in this video.
It is also crucial to note we are not denying the appearance
Somebody in that type of good physical health, I'd have a hard time believing he'd get sick at all.
of problems such as diabetes, alcoholism, and chemical poisoning amongst indigenous people when, quote, more advanced civilizations moved into their region. However, these are toxic behavioural and environmental factors, not infectious diseases. It is interesting to see that the notion of infectious diseases wiping out native populations appears to have waxed and waned in its promotion over the decades. Perhaps in the current period, it presents an inconvenience for the woke ideologists who tend to eagerly participate in, quote, pandemic rituals, but are even more intent on blaming white people rather
That person had a ring around him so you couldn't get more than 6 feet close. Oh my God. How do you walk around? How do you get in your car?
than germs for all the world's problems, both now and historically.
White
folks,
white
trash, white supremacy, white woman,
white boy, white
entitlement,
What is this?
centering, white silence.
Is there a black person around here?
There's a black person right here. Does he not exist?
Well,
Oh, shut the fuck up, you faggots. What the hell was that put in there for?
these individuals may be impossible to reach. We can at least focus on trying to help those that genuinely want to understand the truth about germ theory. A major step
Why
is
the hell did you have a Matt Walsh bullshit fucking dog shit Jewish propaganda cocksucking nonsense in the middle of your video? What the fuck?
getting them to appreciate that historical anecdotes, well-known stories, hearsay, and opinion pieces do not qualify as scientific evidence.
I don't have to look at
If
you.
there are
now.
claims being put forward regarding, for example, the existence of a pathogen or the contagious nature of a disease, then it needs to be tested through the scientific
Tested?
method. As stated in the encyclopedia.
Alright, we get it. So I'm kind of mad at her now. What kind of fucking bullshit was that? Alright. Yeah, now I'm completely... Dr. Glidden and Dr. Monzo. There's a reason why I stay in that ring. Let's see what we got talking here. Is anybody seeing this? How's the feed going? Is it working all right? I'm imagining a lot of people are out and about because it's a long weekend. That's what I'm imagining in my imagers. Yeah. Kaufman has a Rumble channel. I forgot the exact name of it. Might just be Dr. Kaufman, maybe. Guess the trolls are busy tonight, or your mommy's called you out to the basement. Called you out of the basement for your Kraft macaroni and cheese dinners. Fair, Karen. I just called you every name. My fucking family does this all the time. Like whatever words we've said most recently, we just say them. I'm reading your name. I know your name, and I called you first my daughter's name and then Rebecca. What the fuck is wrong with me? It's brain. What a complete coincidence. All of these pandemics start on them darn dirty boats. Yeah. We are living in a freaking Scooby-Doo cartoon. Solve the mystery, Marcy. Found it. Microzymus 4 months ago. Okay, let's see. The life forms that rewrite the rules. Oh, doctor. All right, let's open that up in a new tab. What the fuck? Open a new tab. There we go. This motherfucker is talking about, yeah, let's see. Does he talk about, of course, this piece of shit. Dr. Arse is literally his name. Oh, look, no mention so far. Okay, let's see. Did they even, I see a Dr. Arse and a Dr. Mirazel Arse. Okay, the same fucking asshole. Gee, that's funny. Where's the mention of Béchamp? What a piece of shit. These people, man. I bet you he steers it into the ground too. Guaranteed. Oh, this woman. This is the fucking genius here. Gee, hold on just a second. Hold on. That looks. I mean, she's too fucking homely to not be. I gotta find out for sure though. She's too ugly to not be part of the tribe. Maybe she's a Sephardic one. She kind of looks a little bit Spaniard to me. She's kind of got that ugly as fuck. Okay, let's see. Oh, they donate toys and blankets. Yeah, they're definitely got something to hide. I don't care if she's a kinesiologist. I don't fucking care. Oh, she's 33rd birthday. How about that? I don't give a fuck. She's a naturopathic doctor. Over here, you said she was a kinesio. Yeah, okay, whatever. I don't care about any of these. I want to know if she's a Jew. This is the shit that they're promoting now. Exploring the connection between Jesus and Apollo. They're both fucking unicorns. Except Apollo was at least based on Thor. Okay, well, we're not going to find out without me having to try too hard. I don't want to try too hard. I don't care. This actually makes me more mad. It's not like, oh, look, some people finally figured it out. No, it's not that at all. He's an asshole. Fucking piece of shit. They're gonna drive it into the ground, steer it away from any truth, just like they do with everything else that has half a truth in it. And people will see microzyma and they'll be like, "Oh, you mean that didn't come? Yeah, okay, that didn't come to fruition." Yeah, it's because you were being told incorrect things about it and how it operates. You guys have heard me talk about this thing for like 5 years. And now they're just coming aboard. I mentioned this shit too, I think, to them, perhaps even in conversation. And they just look. Dr. Artis poo-pooed it or deflected away. Everybody was like, yeah, okay, whatever. Except for Dr. Glidden and Dr. Monzo. And I keep on saying and re-emphasizing. You said you talked about it for over 2 years about microzymas. I was making comments earlier. You missed my comment earlier about it. I caught a troll earlier. Oh, you did? Feed is good here. Okay, cool. You caught one earlier here? Maybe I had to refresh it already. I don't know. Earlier. I didn't see any. I don't see any of the thing. Maybe it's over here. I only see Karens. Lots of Karens. Hooray for Karen. She's a horses. What? Is that what you get knocked out? This fucking guy here? Nagurski? Yeah, good. He's a fucking douche. Yeah, Kaufman loves the does he? He's into the piss 32? Yeah, of course. Everything that's stupid. Four-legged, white-tailed. Oh my god, I just spit off my coffee out. That's funny. Yeah, Bushmaster's funny. I'm called a food snob, and you must be rich, etc. Because I refuse to eat fast food. You must be rich because that they say that to you. Hugs Bushmaster. Enjoy your family. Said Karen. It only hiccuped once that I saw. We're not seeing what you're reading. Yeah, sorry about that. Maybe he's yeah, we talked about that. Structurize your flora. Yep, we talked about that. Dr. Jennifer Rumble thing. Guess the trolls. What a complete coincidence. Yep, that one. Yeah, okay. It's all. We're up to date. We're all up to date here. Make sure I get over here. Good feed. Just type that before you look. Okay, cool. And I'm shadow banned on Rumble. Can't load any videos. That's weird. That's not me. I didn't do that. Karen kicked me off of Rumble. Called me a little baby. Oh, wait. Hold on. Are you Nagurski? Hold on. How are you Nagurski? The fuck? Didn't you call her? Wait, hold on a second. This doesn't make sense. Didn't you call her name? I have it right here. Hold on. You have, if you're Nagurski, then that's weird because why would I think you were Nagurski? Your name is Christopher Lee Steller. It says, hooray for Karen, for she's a horse's ass, right? Isn't that what you're saying? Isn't that what you're trying to say there? And then she took it and said, like, bah! Isn't that what happened? Maybe there was a misunderstanding here. I don't know. That's weird. Like Dick Cheney voice. And what a... Oh, I don't know anything about Dick Cheney's daughter. She lives 2 doors down from the guy who stole my father's patent. Subdivision name, Devils, can't remember. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know anything about Dick Cheney. Except he's dead, I think, isn't he? Should be, anyway. Yeah, I just know not to go hunting with the guy. I don't want to get shot in the face and have a heart attack. If you're trying to avoid getting shot in the face, probably shouldn't hunt with certain people. It's just one of those things. All right, so where are we going with this? We have how many hours into this already? We are 1 hour and 31 minutes. That's nothing. Let's talk about this firmament map. I don't know if this is any good. I was just curious what the hell they were talking about here.
1893 firmament map.
Oh, this fucking guy? He annoys me.
It's on the Library of Congress.
Apparently, this is before he learned his how to make a video too. This is older. His voice is echoed as if he's not using mic properly or whatever. I don't know. It's like it's one thing to have to deal with him. It's another thing to have to deal with him with low quality.
So it's on a government website, like it's straight up right on the government website, and it's called the firmament map. And you can just look that one up. It says 1893. You just
Why are you talking into a cup?
type it in. It's not even hidden from the people. So, when they're trying to talk about where they're going and we're going to Mars and, going to space, they're not going anywhere. And a perfect example of this, the India moon landing. The India moon landing looks like an Atari graphics moon landing.
Don't make fun of that and then look at that giant, Amazon penis that went flying in the air with a bunch of whores on it.
You see like this little pixelated thing go pip, 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 and it lands on allegedly the moon, and the Indians they're just clapping away. They've done it. It's crazy that you can make people believe that, right? Like if
the mechanical way the dude's waving his flag too is funny. I approve of this message.
Somebody believes that, they watched Atari graphics and they thought they went to the moon. Oh goodness.
Oh, you want to laugh at them? Look at what happened in '69, bro. Come on.
Imagine
was it 69, 68?
You can make them believe to take a whole bunch of vaccines and put them in their body. You could also make them believe that they need to wear 64 masks.
Or get a bunch of injections, or all kinds of things. But don't worry about it. It's definitely not food intake issues. Definitely not. Definitely not nutrient problems. Dissolving Illusions is a good book. I don't know if I want to deal with Sam Bailey now. I thought that was pretty fucked up what she did. Oh yeah, the District of Columbia Organic Act. This is what I thought we were watching. Or we're going to watch. Hold on 1 second. What the hell is this? Shut the fuck up. Is JFK Jr. alive? This is where other people's heads are at. This is why we're all gonna die. As if even if he was, guys, we have been incorporated since 1871. Anybody playing the politics game at all, or their offspring, know goddamn well the reality of the situation, and none of them have spoken a word. Have they? We just keep moving as if it's a real thing, as they prime and prep us to go off to fight their wars, expand their territory, and then murder us slowly and quickly whether it's through war itself, poisoning, and that's the slow burn, starvation. Hey, 3 million people in America that was once quite not too long before extremely wealthy. And then during the Depression, 3 million lives to starvation. Thanks to FDR and his Jews and the Kabbalistic freaking Masonic bullshitters. Yeah. Making it more severe with every bad choice and decision, creating the welfare state, social system, social programs. He was a real piece of shit. Not to mention the Trading with the Enemies Act and the Emergency Banking Act and all that other bullshit. He was a demon. 4 terms for the demon. Because, what might as well just become a dictator at that point. And then he gets quote-unquote polio, which we all know isn't a virus. So, there you have it.
In citizenship, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States.
I wish BitChute didn't suck when it comes to... They don't even have a setting that says, change. It's just speed and zoom. They don't allow you to even have a choice when it comes to resolution. It's like, how would you like this uploaded? Shittier than every place else? Deal. Shittier than every other place it is. Except for maybe, I don't know, Brighteon. I think 540p is what Brighteon is. Or something like that. It's not as bad as 360. 480, but it's a weird number, like 540 or so. I don't even understand how that works, but look it up.
And of the states wherein they reside, United States Code and Annedated Amendment 14. However, what the public was not told, that while under the Libre Code, a 14th Amendment citizen can only be found within the jurisdiction of the United States. That is, all government employees, all those who live in territories occupied by the federal government, such as Washington, D.C., and the former slaves. The rest of the population was not subject to the 14th Amendment, and thus could still claim jurisdiction under the original Constitution. In addition to that, after the conclusion of the Civil War, the federal government was now occupying the southern states, placing these captured citizens under the jurisdiction of the Libre Code. The southern states had to agree to ratify this amendment in order for them to be granted their freedom from federal rule. Thus, instead of ending slavery, the 14th Amendment held all Southerners captive as slaves in the plantation known as the United States of America. Just like how all citizens were turned into corporations in 1790 to subject them to the Revolutionary War debts, 14th Amendment citizens were created to be franchisees, subject to the corporation known as the United States Incorporated. And like all corporate brands, you do not have any constitutional Bill of Rights protections. Proof of such can be found in the all-caps version of your name, which signifies a corporate entity. After the Civil War, the United States defaulted on its war debt. During the bankruptcy proceedings, cunning lawyers in league with international bankers found a loophole.
Well, think about this. The banks were responsible for the division, the secession, because they were coming in hard with the Federalist, over-dominating federal central government, and they weren't having it. So the price or the punishment for secession, because God forbid the banks start to think that they're not going to be able to collect on the debt of the individuals or the states at large, they're going to make sure that you're all under the same fucking rule, right? But there was more to it than that. The Jews want you dead. And that was the main thing about it. But don't ever think that you can determine your own destiny, because this is also tied into the Holy See. They already hate you because of the Reformation and hence the Counter-Reformation War that was still ongoing and still is today. So when people are, this is a good time to point this out. I'm glad I started rambling, because this is something that we really need to discuss. Let me see if I can pop it up here real quick, and then I'll show you on the screen. When things are on the bottom taskbar, you don't see them unless I put it on display capture. But let me find it first, because it's in my book. Take a look. It's in my book. All right, now let's go to... No results? How about this? You son of a bitch. Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah, you son of a bitch? No. No, not Foster Bailey. God damn you. Hold on. All right, let's see. Try that one. Now that one. Okay. We might be onto something here. Let's see. Oh, these are good. But let's get to the one about the... All right, let's see. Get out of here. And get out of here. All right, so now we got it. And then I got to bring it up to about 125. This is out of my book. And since everything's already here, I don't have to go looking for it. There's 2 times in history where this happened. And then you can tell me, is this a purchase? I don't think it's a purchase. I think it's it's servitude to the Holy See. Even though this is all one Saturn cult, right? We have to understand that. Even though they're like, oh, we hate Christians, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, well, the Roman Catholic Empire isn't Christian. It's not the same. It's another mask for the pagan Saturn cult, right? Which, true, when I say pagan like that, I don't mean like disparaging our ancestors. I'm just saying they project. So the pagans that are out there killing children in the fucking groves, that's what I call pagans. That's who that is. Not the monotheistic Gothic Aryan people who brought in the idea of marriage, monotheism, baptism, a family life, all those good things that they stole from us and then repurposed. So let me go ahead and show you what I'm looking at then. Not that one. Okay. The Holy See and the Rothschilds. Allow me to pontificate for a moment. I should get a nickel for... Okay, so in 1832, after the Napoleonic Wars, James Mayer de Rothschild and Karl Mayer von Rothschild of Frankfurt-Offenbach did what Rothschilds have done ever since. After wars, they destroy the infrastructure of a country, and the rubble and ashes are still smoldering. They swoop down with black wings and offer a Faustian deal. By this time in history, the secret meeting of the 3 masterminds of the Illuminati plot had met decades ago, and the Frankist conversion, possibly by the whole of the family de Rothschild, had taken place. The Rothschilds were loaning money to these war-torn countries, including Austria. James and Karl negotiated a loan to the Holy See in the amount of 400,000 pounds, equivalent to 4 billion pounds, or 4,872,720,000 by today's inflation in US dollars. Kind of a big loan. Real money doesn't have this problem of inflation. For this loan, and it's important to stress that this wasn't a gift. It wasn't a grant. James became the official papal banker and was also heading the bank Rothschild in France. Karl went to meet directly with Pope Gregory the 16th and was awarded with the Star of the Sacred Military Constantinian Order of St. George. What a horrible way to... That's St. George, huh? The order's motto is In hoc signo vinces, or in this sign thou shalt conquer. Consider that a moment. The Pope was not only greatly indebting himself to the Rothschilds, but he was also bestowing upon Karl a symbol of divine successful conquest. Now, I know that this could be a sanitized version of events. As a straight read, it looks like we're witnessing an acquisition of the Holy Roman Empire by the most unconscionable family ever to exist, or Jews. But if the history of the Bowers, the true name of the Rothschilds, and maybe it was changed prior to that, goes as deep into Roman Empire history as I suspect, it's the Rothschilds that are in service to Rome and have been since the post-Julian era. Maybe as trusted court advisors of the highest regard. I always say they're the property managers for the world estate for the Holy Roman Empire. If there's truth to they're just they're business partners in a sense, because they're both handling one wing of the Abrahamic death cult, and they need each other because of how they manipulate the masses. If there's truth to the well-traveled anecdote about the red sign on the little coinage shops of Bowers, that shield was a Roman symbol, potentially a family crest. When you literally have all the money in the world, it's really, okay, let's move on, fucker. When so many countries exist for the pleasure of your banking family, and with a flip of a finger you can command their armies to destroy a defiant country or send assassins to any leader's doorstep, debt slavery aside, most people follow the Rothschilds' orders, especially our once sovereign and proud nation. Because this family pretends Judaism, as a Jew, Carla was allowed to kiss the ring of the Pope rather than bend to the floor and kiss the pontiff's feet. Yeah, that's kind of fucked. As is the respectful custom. If somebody told me to kiss the feet of the Pope, I'd tell them to shove it up his fucking ass. Critics were quite vocal. He's not, the vicar of Christ, the stand-in? Yeah, no. Fuck both of you. Critics were quite vocal over the whole ordeal. They didn't like the break in the tradition, and they were outraged over a Jewish banking arrangement, basically claiming what I surmised, that they just bought the whole damn thing. Did the Pope just sell the Holy Roman Empire to the Rothschilds? Would this, or simply any other number of circumstances, account for its strange actions and complete flips in policy just in our own lifetime? As you may be aware, the church itself was founded by corrupt men in opposition to the core principal teachings of Jesus Christ. It could be argued what's birthed from such sin will by its very nature continue that course. It's difficult to find much information on it. Plus, by the way, they're all like, cryptocraptos that were forming the church. And it's difficult to find much information on it, but a second loan to the Holy See by the Rothschilds occurred during the 1850s. On December 22nd, 2020, F. William Ingdahl published an article for New Eastern Outlook, picked up by the New Age BD short for Bangladesh.net, Dangerous Alliance of Rothschild and Vatican of Francis. Right out of the gate, he aptly described Bergoglio, Pope Francis, as the most globalist and interventionist pope since the Crusades of the 12th century. The article describes an alliance between the criminal COVID tyrant, Green Initiative radical, suspected Buenos Aires child trafficking facilitator, Jesuit Pope Francis, and Lynn Forrester de Rothschild on what they called the Council of Inclusive Capitalism with the Vatican, Ingdahl writes. The venture is one of the more cynical and, given the actors, most dangerous frauds being promoted since Davos World Economic Forum guru and Henry Kissinger protege Klaus Schwab began to promote the Great Reset of the world capitalist order. That was the quote from the guy. The article by Ingdahl is very well written and packed with important and interesting facts for those dot connecting enthusiasts out there. From the UN article, council members make actionable commitments aligned with the World Economic Forum International Business Council's pillars for sustainable value creation, people, planet, principles of governance and prosperity, and that advance the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Linda Rothschild states, this council will follow the warning from Pope Francis. Yes, wash it through Pope Francis what you intend to do. To listen, I think Linda Rothschild, if I'm not mistaken, is what was that fucking guy who had like a feminine name? That Rothschild that died recently. His wife. Forgot. And now I can't remember his name. It's like a, I don't remember. To me, it's a feminine name, but it's whatever. He kind of had a look to him like David Icke, but he was a Rothschild. Does that make any sense? Let's see if I can find it. Evelyn. Evelyn to me is a female name, right? So Evelyn de Rothschild, that's his wife up there doing her hip shake. Linda Rothschild states the council will follow the warnings from Pope Francis to listen to the cry of the earth and the cry of the poor. Oh my God. And answer society's... Does this bitch know what the fuck poor is? And answer society's demands for a more equitable and sustainable model of growth. Meanwhile, data centers. Meanwhile, digital prison. Meanwhile, the whole world is under a corporatocracy bullshit fucking merchant scheme. Then like the merchants, the little shits that rob you blind, the cutthroats and bandits, merchants and thieves. The original corporation, the oldest one, is the fucking Vatican. It's the Holy Roman Empire, right? It's the Holy See. And then you have all this. If you're in a corporatocracy, that means who do you think are the people that run it? Who do you think are the people that actually... What do you think they're into? Do you think they're the supremacy cult, perchance, of the child sacrificers? Child killers? Ingdahl masterfully retorts, their reference to Klaus Schwab's World Economic Forum is no accident. The group is yet another front group in what is becoming a globalist bums rush to try to convince a skeptical world that the same people who created the post-1945 model of IMF-led globalization and giga corporate entities more powerful than governments, destroying traditional agriculture in favor of toxic agribusiness, Right. All the things, IMF-led globalization, giga corporate entities more powerful than governments, destroying a traditional agriculture, poisoning fucking everything that you eat in favor of toxic agribusiness, exactly. Dismantling living standards in industrialized countries to flee to cheap labor countries like Mexico or China will now lead the effort to correct all their abuses. We are being naive if we swallow this. But they're not gonna claim. And notice how they say post 1945 model. What happened after that? What was that date important for? Oh, the destruction of the resistance to these fucking pieces of shit. And they utilized us, our wealth, our assistance to help the Soviets who are fumbling, bumbling, retarded fucking Jews to get to fuck up Germany because we helped them. And what happened also? British bombs. What happened there? Oh wow, I don't know. Is that the City of London, Bank of England, City of London? That's all Jews, right? And that's basically Rothschilds there too. Well, that's deliberately back then, or directly. So they were beating the hell out of Germany. The only people with a sane fucking thought and didn't have the parasite already in their country, of those countries that we're referring to at that time. They had the parasite, most certainly. They were doing their best. And think about the amount of prosperity and growth that happened in such a short period of time with that one simple change. You don't get to run that shit anymore. I think they gave us a blueprint, didn't they? Now we just need a charismatic leader and some people that aren't too fucking stupid to recognize what needs to be done. Ingdahl goes on to point out that Linda Rothschild's name appears on the flight logs to Epstein's Island and that she once housed Ghislaine forgive my mistake, Ghislaine Maxwell in one of her NYC apartments following her Mossad agent father's murder. Really. A murder that likely occurred because too much money was owed to him. Ghislaine even used the address to register a business venture called Terramar, and one of the donors to that business was the Clinton Foundation. This is all through Linda Rothschild. Lynn D. Rothschild, like not Linda. You can't seem to discuss anything related to child sex trafficking without the Clintons ending up in the conversation, or Jews. The Rothschilds, Evelyn, now Wormfood, and Lynn spent part of their honeymoon at the Clintons' White House. Their honeymoon at the Clintons' White House. Do you understand what's going on here? It's a corporatocracy. Who really runs this show and has since they destroyed us in the Civil War? And then we defaulted on our loan? Or was that part of the plan, is that we make it real fucking easy for the next step, because this was a planned demolition of the Republic, and people like Lincoln and his Jews led the way, led the charge, led the extermination proceedings. The list of moral guardians of the UN promoted World Economic Forum supported initiative that oddly enough tackles every globalist reset goal and Agenda 2030 projection ranges from heads of the Rockefeller and Ford Foundations to former partners of the Gates Foundation. And Jesuit Pope Francis resoundingly supports it, stamps his seal on it, and continues to promote the key themes of it until he dropped dead. Things to consider. You know? Yeah, we should read Proofs of Conspiracy together, too. Add some of that in there. All right. I'll let him talk a little bit longer. I gotta get up in a second anyway.
Poll within Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the United States Constitution.
Oh, there's Section 8, all right. That means crazy. It's like a 5150, Section 8. You're cuckoo, not Section 8 housing. But although there are crazy people that live there too.
Which allowed the creation of a duplicate entity known as the Corporation of the United States of America to replace the now bankrupt and defunct Republic of the United States of America. This occurred with the passage of the
Hold!
I
just want to switch it back, so I don't like that wiggly jiggly there. Let's go to blink. Oh, by the way, since we're here. Oh, hello. Do you see the FTJ thing in the corner? It says, "Make America Less Gay. Join FTJ. Go Pro for $5. $5 a month." Oh, hold on. I gotta read the chat before I get up. I'll do that first, and then we'll get back into this dude here. Not back into, you know what, man, into the video. Okay, let's go right here and right here. Whoa. Yeah, high fives. I don't think it's going on here. Let's see. So I think we stopped right here. It says Christopher Lee Settler says Garden Critters reported you. Full frontal assault on the Jolly Green Giant. Structured water from them. This is Christopher Lee again. High Himalayan Shilajit. No wonder the Ashkenazis suffered so little during COVID. Thought it were structured allotment of vaccines and higher side treason. My bad. And since they're not human, these things aren't poison to them, apparently. Maybe that's why they're terraforming, because they just don't seem to be... They just look like people. I typed that before you looked up his name. It's cool. Good feed. Christopher Lee Settler says, Buffalo Bills coach Levi used to sing it with the team at the MVP of the game. Buffalo Bills. I keep on... when I first read that, I'm thinking of the fucking guy going, "Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me." I'm thinking of like... oh, man. I got what is it? Wild Stallions playing in my head. Or what the hell is it called? No, something like No More Horses or something. I forgot the name of the song. It's like the Clerks version of that. Oh man, no Silence of the Lambs. You're just talking literally about the Buffalo Bills coach Levi. Used to sing it with the team at the MVP of the as the MVP of the game. To call someone a horse is behind is a term of endearment among braver folk. Thank you for the great content, said Bushmaster. Thank you. Hi. Sorry. High five from the chest. And Edward Snowman. Welcome him. Hello, I'm just joining. I hope I haven't missed too much. I hope that you are able to get to Rumble as well, because in the event that you wanted to go back and then this thing doesn't encode, whatever, I'm just babbling though. If it doesn't show up here, it'll be on Rumble and other places. Crusaders and Kick for a brief period of time. Let's see what's going on in Kick. Hold on, I'm just curious. Do people even show up anymore? I was surprised I even had any type of surprise. 66. Any type of surprise. Buffalo 66. I am the one viewer. Yes. I kick ass. Oh man, 66 followers, which is surprising, right? We have I'm no clavicular with as much value as he brings to the table. I mean, here he is gambling so that he can make his shit tons of money for supporting a very Jewish fucking activity. 360.1 thousand followers. I mean, that just makes sense, right? I mean, look at all the value he's bringing. What about Sneeko, that shitbag? Let's see who he's got. Sneeko, you fucking Muslim cocksucker. 112,000. Wow. Okay. Where's Aiden Ross? 2 million. 2 fucking million. Kick, he was like 17 million on Twitch. Kick and Twitch and Crusaders have the same fucking layouts. And I was told, I did some research, they're like, no, that's not the same. They're not the same company. But I'm like, how are they allowed to do that then? It's just it's a different skin on the same exact fucking thing. And it's like, I was like, how is that if it's proprietary software or coding or whatever the fuck the structure is? They're saying the UI and the whatever those terms are identical, and they're like, no, you are right that they are identical. I'm like, no shit, I can go like this. Watch. So here we are. This is Aiden Ross, the guy who put who in a boxing match, and no one seemed to have a problem with that, which I find kind of odd. Oh look, he's gambling too, because this is what they fucking do here. You gotta make the Jews rich, and then they will make you rich. Okay. So go to here, and then go to here. It's okay. Let's see if I can find. No, that's about right. That's good. I can even go to mine. I just go to my channel and just click it out. So if we're here, now we'll look over at Crusaders. The way things are lined up, if there was actually people in the chat over on Kick, you would see it doing the same shit, right? Just babble something here. But if I go to Kick and I change to, let's say, Creator Dashboard. Okay, shut up. Creator Dashboard. Now let's go to here. Let's go to Creator Dashboard. It's this, dude, it's the same fucking thing. It's this, how is this not the same fucking website with a different skin? You would think they could be like this. I don't ever go on Twitch to verify that, but they're saying that the other clone is Twitch, and Twitch would be the original one. That's baffling to me. Like, look at what it says here as far as even the order in which it's listed. Now let's see if it's the same on Kick. I don't even know. Very similar. Revenue, which I don't have any, of course. Payments not activated. Complete Stripe Connect setup. Make sure to complete the setup with your Stripe Connect, including. I guess I didn't know that because I don't care. Don't care. But yeah, they're pretty much the same. Can I pause it, please? Fucking nigger. Jesus. Studio. Yeah, it's just they're slightly worded differently. Revenue, VODs, videos on demand, roles, chat alerts. But you can't tell me this isn't the same fucking thing. It's set up exactly the goddamn same. Back to kick. How about back to me, bro?
3 face, 3 body, total 3.
Shut up.
Okay. Okay.
Shut up. Why is that on kick? And let's go to even. So you're looking at this thing where it says following and over here, and then you're looking at kick. Look at this. You can't tell me this isn't the same fucking skin. I was looking to see if I could build my own and how much it would cost. And I'm like, it's basically plug and play right now because I'm not really. If these things are already out there and obviously people can just clone them, how would I need developers? They're like, oh, it costs you about $15,000 to $75,000 to start a website. I'm like, for content creating, I'm like, what if I limited it to 10 people? Me being one of them, I hand select the people that are given, by invite only to come on the platform, and it wouldn't be people like that everybody knows. It would be people like from FTJ and maybe a couple from Crusaders and stuff like that that would want to be on the platform, and then a couple other people that I know about, and give them the offer too, and then we'd have our own place, and we would do what Kick and Crusaders does by having a deletion period of 30 days. So anything that's 30, let's say 10 of us are running I think the math was a 4-hour show every day for 30 days is comes up to less than 4 terabytes at 1080p 60 frames per second, right? At 10 people. So you would only need, and they have like a 4:8 size for a dedicated virtual whatever the fuck, right? So it would more than accommodate that. And then after 30 days, it would kick it out. So you never go above that threshold. And I thought that's a good idea because if we're streaming there, even if we're streaming there, because we want that called our home, because we don't want our shit to be taken down. Say if there's another attack on free speech or whatever the hell else on other people's platforms, if I own mine, then I can invite whoever I want. And let's say, I don't know, Giuseppe, Buckenwaldo, fucking Dave, I don't know, whoever. I'm just coming up with names here. And then we have the platform. We'll also be on other platforms like Rumble until they take us away or whatever, take us off there. But they would be where you would have all the archives. Here would be because this is our home and we still get to do it type of deal. And whatever you like, you just download, right? So I have this thing called Real Player. It's really old software, but I paid for the new. So if I click on this, it's not going to find the video right now because I'm watching because it's still in progress. But if I go to any video, it's $25 for one time. It's not a monthly fee or anything like that. If I go, let's say, I don't know, let's pick a place. I know it is just a demonstration, but still, I don't want to. All right, so here it'll pop up. I think maybe it won't do on Odyssey. All right, see, it says DDT thing, so I can download it all the way up to. Whatever, if it went up to 4K, I could download it in 4K on my computer. But I can choose what resolution value I want. And then I can also do it again and do it for audio only so I can have a podcast ready to go from one of my videos. So I download my own stuff and then I put it up for the podcast. And it was annoying. I didn't want to pay for it because I had already paid for it once and they locked me out because a long, long time ago, Facebook was how you logged in and how I set it up to log in. And then they stopped doing that. So they kind of locked me out of it. And for the longest time, I was like, fuck you people. But then when other things don't run as smoothly, like when I stopped using StreamYard, because StreamYard allows you to do an audio file, this came in very handy because I can still just grab my audio file from my own video, click that, hit download, and then I can download the video too and put it up on Spotify. where I just upload my videos here on Spotify, and you can listen to it or watch it on Spotify. And you guys should totally be giving these things a 5-star rating. We have 16 ratings and it's 4.8. And what do you call it? And then over on Spreaker, where all the podcasts are, like the last one I put up there was Dave's. Stop being slow. I'm only getting 88 because they took me off of Spotify, so that's why I have the new Christos cast thing and it's separate because they completely deleted my channel. I think over. I think it was the coverage of Europa: The Last Battle with my commentary. I think that's what they finally decided to delete my Spotify, and I was getting a decent amount of revenue, ad rev from that, like because Spotify was. I had like 3,000 or 4,000 followers. Now I have 37 and on Christos Cast, building it back up, and that's not monetized because you need like 2,000 hours watched every month or some crazy shit like that in order to be in the monetization program here. There, where Spreaker, you start off day one as being able to monetize. So anyway, so now I have my audio files, and they're usually under 300 megabytes. So I don't even when they're 5 hours long, so I don't have to reduce them in. You're not going to see this on my computer, but there's a what do they call it? Audacity I use to shrink the files. All I do is export audio, and it already automatically shrinks it. And then with Handbrake, if you need to make a smaller file for like putting it on BitChute or putting it on some other shitty fucking platform that has a limit on it, like I think Odyssey has a shit limit too. You can do that through Handbrake. It's another free software program. But that's how I would do it. And then if we had our own Kick platform, that'd be kind of cool. But I'm only thinking maybe this will also be something that we could consider if we need to revamp the FTJ thing to make it run more smoothly or something. Figure out how the other assholes did it. You know what I mean? Hello, I'm just joining. Oh yeah, it's Levine is a dress. Oh, familiar with Queens of Stone Age song "Turning on the Screw" of the album Era Vulgaris? No, but I don't like Queens of the Stone Age. And one of the reasons why is because of something that has absolutely nothing to do with me. But Brody Dalle, or I think her name was, who was married to Tim Armstrong. Now, Tim's a little bit of a weirdo. She was like 15 or 16 when you first met her. But whatever. They got married. And then she was in the Distillers. And it was a decent girl punk band. And then she dumped his ass, and that's what the song like Back to You, I think. If I fall back down, you're gonna help me back up again. Like that song. That is a song about his wife who left him for like the drummer or some fucking shit of the Queens of the Stone Age. Yeah. So fuck her. And then she started doing like more rocky rock like emo bullshit music instead of doing punk. Like she seems like the type of person that just adopts the personality of her man. I had a couple girlfriends like that. I was like the same type of girl where you'd be like, what do you want to do tonight? Well, I don't know. What do you want to do? Like, what do you want to eat? I don't know. What do you want to eat? I was like, do you have anything to add to this? Do you have a personality that's not like, come on, you must have wants and desires too. Tell me what they are so that we can go do other things, come up with new ideas so we can do new shit, you know? Yeah. And then it was funny because I hadn't seen her in a while, and I ran into her in Saratoga, and I was just like walking probably half in the bag one night. This is a long time ago. And I ran into her, and she was looking better. She had lost a lot of weight since the time I had met her. I was dating her, and I was like, all right, well, let me know. I'm kind of drunk here. We have a history. So I started talking to her, and she was like, yeah, I'm in criminal justice now. I'm like, criminal? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't sound like you at all. And then I hear a little bit more of the story, and she had a boyfriend that was into criminal justice as a major, and I'm like, see, you're still doing the thing. You're just doing whatever the fuck anybody else does. Oh, you said Distillers guitarist Tony Bevilacqua was a good friend. I inspired him when I caught Dimebag Darrell's pick and handed it to him. Oh, that's cool. He said, here's the pick of destiny. Do with it what you will. Use your powers for good and not evil. And he said, how can I make my powers for emo? That's funny. I don't know who it was in the band that did the thing with Brody, but that's probably not even her real name. Her real name. I don't trust bitches. The Distillers was a good band. I like them. Yeah, no one's chatting over here. What the fuck? Hello. Elijah's probably gonna be like, what do you want? No, I'm not talking about you. I'm not talking to you, sir. All right. So we had some things, but I went on a fucking tangent. We went all the way around the world and back, dude. All right, let's finish this.
Columbia Organic Act of 1871, which incorporated the area of the District of Columbia into a private foreign corporation chartered in the city of London known as the United States Incorporated. This corporation designated Congress as the board of directors to continue the business needs of the government under martial law. Thanks to the Lieber Code, federal jurisdiction under the Organic Act was expanded to include not only all captured citizens in the southern states, but all Americans in all states. Thus, America had lost her sovereignty under the yoke of the Crown of England and the international bankers. During this same time, the Corporation of the United States adopted its own constitution, which was identical to the original national constitution. To fool the people, one word was changed from its original form, the Constitution for the United States of America, to its present-day all-capitalized form, which signifies a corporate entity, the Constitution of the United States of America. Incidentally, the Titles of Nobility Amendment was removed from this new constitution. With the Illuminati in full control over the United States, they now sought to rule the world. After the death of Adam Weishaupt in 1830, Giuseppe Mazzini was selected to head the Illuminati. In 1871, the mantle of power was passed on again to the American General Albert Pike as its new director. Pike became fascinated with the idea of a one-world government and eventually constructed the Illuminati's blueprint of world domination. His plans called for the financing of 3 world wars in the 20th century. The first war would bring about an atheist communist state from the ashes of Tsarist Russia. The second war would bring about a Jewish Holocaust under a fascist government to foment support of a Zionist state of Israel. The third war would manipulate the differences of Christians and Muslims for their own annihilation. Then finally, political Zionism would come out as victors of all. These 3 world wars would require enormous funding. Since most of the royalty in Europe was already deeply in debt thanks to the numerous wars and conflicts created by the Rothschild banking dynasty, the only place left that could possibly pay for such ambitious plans was the now prosperous American Republic. After the Civil War, the United States went through a great industrial expansion. The new industries of oil, steel, textile, and railroad all needed generous financing, which the Rothschild family was more than eager to provide. To access these markets, the Rothschilds sent their agent, Jacob Schiff, to infiltrate the New York banking scene, which was controlled by J.P. Morgan. By the turn of the century, the Rothschilds had fully entrenched themselves into the tight fraternity of Wall Street banks, such as Goldman Sachs and Lehman Brothers. They now sought their most prized possession, full control over the American monetary system. With help from Jacob Schiff and J.P. Morgan, the Rothschilds formed a scheme which would seduce Congress into relinquishing control over the money supply. This occurred with the Panic of 1907, when a liquidity crisis caused many banks and businesses to fail all across the United States. The meltdown began when J.P. Morgan published rumors that the Knickerbocker Trust Company of New York was insolvent. With a bank run on hand, they were forced to call in their loans, creating a chain reaction which would threaten to implode the entire banking system. The failures continued until J.P. Morgan and Company provided a generous loan to the insolvent banks. But J.P. Morgan was not trying to save the American banking system, but rather he used the crisis to destroy his competition by choosing which banks he would bail out. But the biggest casualty of the economic fallout was the looming bankruptcy of the Corporation of the United States, which had no means to pay back their loans which were due in 1912. In anticipation of this bankruptcy, representatives from the world's most powerful families met in November 1910 at a secret meeting at the Jekyll Island Club Resort in Georgia to discuss the foreclosure of the Corporation of the United States and to brainstorm solutions which would prevent future liquidity crises such as occurred during the Panic of 1907. Those in attendance included Senator Nelson Aldrich, Paul Warburg, representatives from J.P. Morgan and Company, and Jacob Schiff, representing the Rothschild.
Yeah, that's the guy on the far right that was brokering the $20 million of American gold that was now default the Federal Reserve's gold because of reasons, and spirited that way to, well, not only train the degenerates in Manhattan, as well as Braunstein or Trotsky. It's the fact that this country was a refuge for those pieces of shit in the first place, and then sent back to Russia to mass murder them with more money than they could fail with. You're too even complete retarded, brain dead, uncreative slum Jews could topple an entire country because they had unlimited funds and the will to do what others won't because they're wickedly evil.
They proposed a 20-year extension on the national debt if the United States would agree to charter a privately owned central bank which would serve as a bank of last resort by lending money to other insolvent banks in order to prevent...
Well, hold the fucking second, though. Wait. Another proof that there's absolutely no debt and that this is all bullshit. Remember what they said. We defaulted on the debt. That's what they said because it was a planned default by... It wasn't like a refusal to pay. It was deliberate act that the banks wanted. They wanted to convert the entire country into their property. So the banks had their people installed into government. Then the default occurs, and then they incorporate the United States. So if they're the owners, who owes the debt? Just the people? But wait a minute, aren't we commodities to be shared on the open market and sold and traded? Are not our lives, because we've been turned into fictitious entities, corporate in our own right with the capital names and all that, so the capitis diminutio maxima, all that bullshit. So who owns the debt? If we're a token of value ourselves, then who the fuck owes the debt? Because it's like, the national debt. What nation? There is no nation. It's a corporation. So what are you saying? You're borrowing against yourself and making it the responsibility of the people. This is what William of Orange didn't understand when the Swassos did this to him, when he wanted to raise capital for an army so he could assert his dominance over James II. The Swassos said, yes, do this, establish the Bank of England so that the people would be responsible for the debt and only ever pay the interest, and then be forever debt slaves to, and basically all of them would be property of the Swassos at that point, of the bank. These are the Dutch East India cocksuckers, right? So, same thing gets it spreads like the virus that it is, or the parasite that it is, all the way here, slap down. Here comes the Federal Reserve, but that didn't occur right away. That didn't occur right away because they were establishing all this other bullshit in the meantime. They destroyed our country through a war. They first, the 1812 was the first of, hey, fuck you, you're gonna renew the charter, and then they didn't want another Andrew Jackson. So about 30 years after Andrew Jackson beat them, took us out of all debt, paid off the national debt, averted 3 assassination attempts, caned a motherfucker, and tried to shoot him. Then, 30 years later, they got us all worked up. They got Belmont, August Belmont, and all these other Rothschild agents. And then later in history, we're talking late 1800s, early 1900s. We've got the Brandeis thing, sealing the deal for the reserve and all this other bullshit, and the Balfour Declaration and all that crap that's going on. But they were terraforming, and they were insurgents in this country, subversives, insurgents in this country, working. It's just amazing to me that the same exact ploy, but also if it's a corporation, and every municipality is a corporation, they're trying to. They say they want the leaders to borrow as much as they want, because it's always, all that does is put them further into debt servitude. The people, they get the blank check, and the people have to pay it back. But at what point does any of this become real? It's not about the money. It's about the enslavement. It's about the misery and the suffering. It's about the scarcity. It's about the ritual. Because if they don't care, they'll take true wealth from you when you can't pay. They'll take your home. They'll take your property. They'll take your fucking children. They'll take your jewelry. They'll take your gold. They'll take your silver. And they'll take your fucking life. But these are all the things that are of real value, because the paper money is the scam. The paper money is the lie. It doesn't have any value to it. It has a negative value to it after they took over with the Federal Reserve. Prior to that, we assign value to everything. So it's all in the eye of the beholder type of thing, right? But if enough people believe in it, just like with the bullshit money, then it has a value. But in reality, like our dollar back then, 21 of them got you an ounce of fucking gold. And that was a standard locked price until they screwed everything over. They broke everything apart, made everything useless and worthless, and destroyed the Union and our lives. So this is the effect, and this is what we need to fix. Because there is no national debt. In fact, they owe us a shit ton. In this scheme, it only sounds like it's clever because it's confusing to a rational mind. It's confusing to somebody who would never consider to do that to somebody else. It's not so much that it's clever, like you would never be able to think of this. It's so intricate and detailed. It's like, no, I just wouldn't think that way. A Gothic Aryan descended person with a sense of right and wrong and empathy would never think to do this to people. Only a merchant, a bloodthirsty, diabolical mind, a schizophrenic psychopath, sociopath who loves the human suffering is the only person who would see all the abundance that this nation had and say, I need to destroy this. Instead of, you know how much easier it would have been just to become part of it? They would have had their advantages. They would have, because they can manipulate shit, but they could have lived among people and have this great, and it could have been a shared environment. But that's not what they wanted. They wanted to destroy the beautiful. It makes them sick because they're demonic. Anything of beauty, anything of innocence, they hate it and they need to destroy it. They hate it. There's something inherently wrong with these people, these things. They don't have any of the human qualities that I've come to understand a human is supposed to have. Just because they look like us, we need to stop pretending that that's what it is, that they're us. They're not. They're not us. And to say that you're a quarter of this or that or the other thing when it comes to a religion, I think that's kind of silly. Because it's a cult. You might have a quarter claim into the cult because somebody else was in the cult, but were they actually Jews? Because Jews is not an ethnicity. But whatever happens to these people through their rituals and through their fucking practices makes them something that's not human. Or the reason why they're gravitated to that in the first place is because they were already built from something else. They came from a separate origin. But I just have a hard time calling it all an ethnicity because there's a mix in each and every one of them. There could be a huge cluster of what we consider Turkish Ashkenazi Jews. Sure, okay. Turkish Ashkenazi, the Jew part comes later because ethnicities don't just materialize out of thin air 2,000 years ago. It's not like the Peking man. Like you can point to like the Peking skulls, and it's like that's different. That's and then maybe there's a couple other like Sephardic, whatever. There's characteristics that a group or a cluster of them will share, but they're not all that thing. As much as they do inbreeding, they also need some European, Germanic, Gothic blood in them. And I think that's the downfall. I think that's what the Watchers are told not to do. Don't fuck those people because you're going to make giants your size with their fucking minds, and that's not going to be good. We don't need them to be formidable and be that much of a freaking raving goddamn heartless maniac. Don't have sex with those things. But I could be wrong on that last part. I don't know. I got Rebecca's home, so I just want to hang out for a couple of seconds with her. I'll be back.
A week later, they emerge with their plans to create what is known as the...
And then I will go and I'll thank the people that were doing the donations. I kind of just read your stuff right now, earlier, but I was hearing the dog barking and all that, and I was torn between two thoughts. But yes, I will thank everybody. And if you want to add to it, I'll thank you too. All right, I'll be back in a minute.
Reserve system. Because the current President Taft would never agree to sign away the American monetary system to a cabal of international bankers, they waited until they got their man, the progressive Woodrow Wilson, into power. In return for the bankers' generous campaign contributions, Woodrow Wilson reluctantly promised the bankers he would sign the Federal Reserve Act if he was elected into office. Many powerful forces were opposed to the creation of a privately controlled central bank. To neutralize this threat, J.P. Morgan invited the major opponents of the Federal Reserve Act on board the maiden voyage of the newly built Titanic luxury steamliner built by the White Star Line, owned by J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan ordered the captain to steer his ship into an iceberg and under gunpoint prevented the men from escaping onto the lifeboats, killing many of his enemies in one large swoop. When word of this got back to Woodrow Wilson, he commented, "There exists this power in the world, so subtle, so organized, so watchful, that we dare not speak above a whisper when we speak in condemnation of it." At the beginning of 1913, the United States had defaulted on its debt. After being denied a new line of credit, the now President Woodrow Wilson faced a constitutional crisis. With no other sources of funding, he went along with the bankers' schemes engineered at the Jekyll Island resort. To avoid any opposition, Senator Nelson Aldrich quickly pushed the Federal Reserve Act through both houses of Congress. On December 23, 1913, while most of Congress was away on Christmas vacation, a quorum call was issued. A few selected congressional traitors voted by voice to avoid public record and passed the Federal Reserve Act, which President Wilson signed into law. Wilson later admitted with remorse when referring to the Fed, "I have unwittingly ruined my country." This act gave away the keys of the printing presses at the U.S. Treasury to a foreign corporation chartered under the Crown of England, known as the Federal Reserve Bank.
The Federal Reserve was created by Congress in 1913, and it was entrusted with the power granted originally to the Congress by the U.S. Constitution to coin money and regulate the value thereof.
The Federal Reserve Bank advertises itself as a non-profit corporation that operates as if it's another branch of the government. However, its board members are unelected, and their meetings are conducted behind the closed doors, away from public scrutiny.
The board of directors of the Federal Reserve System is chosen by the president from a list prepared by the bankers themselves.
It's important that whomever I pick is viewed as an independent person from politics.
All this secrecy becomes very suspicious, considering how the Federal Reserve monitors and controls trillions of dollars within the world's banking system. After the federal government lost its ability to issue its own money, the national debt soon soared to astronomical heights, because now the government had to pay the Federal Reserve interest on all its currency printed to circulation. But this interest on the national debt could never be repaid, as the Federal Reserve required all debts to be repaid with gold, which the government did not have. And even worse, the interest portion of the national debt was not issued into the money supply. In other words, more and more debt would have to be issued to continue servicing the growing interest payments on all loans. In order to cover this interest payment, Congress was forced to pass the income tax legislation, which became law in 1913 with the ratification of the 16th Amendment, also known as the Income Tax Amendment. Initially, they levied a 1% voluntary tax on all incomes over $3,000 and a progressive surtax on all incomes over $20,000, but this would soon increase with the outbreak of World War I and World War II. Income tax allowed the Federal Reserve System to confiscate the earnings of the common man, but the industrialists and financiers were exempted from paying any income tax because they could afford to hide their assets in tax-free foundations which they claimed were devoted to philanthropy. Examples of such include the Rockefeller Foundation, the Mellon Foundation, and the Carnegie Endowment.
The main purpose of the income tax is not to raise revenue, but to redistribute wealth and to control society.
Technically, the 16th Amendment was not ratified by the necessary states,
That's
as
correct.
It violates the constitutional clause of no direct taxes. Despite this, Congress went ahead and taxed the people anyway. The government was able to do this because under their corporate charter, Congress was operating as the board of directors, and therefore they had the authority to enter this amendment as ratified. But remember, this amendment has nothing to do with the original United States Constitution, which was replaced back in 1871 with the corporate constitution.
It's actually very simple. Congress tried to enact an income tax in 1894. The Supreme Court said that's unconstitutional. When the Supreme Court says something is unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional. They tried again in 1913, and the Supreme Court said the 16th Amendment conferred no new power of taxation. So, if they didn't have it then, and they didn't get it, they don't have it. There is no constitutional basis for a tax on the wages of Americans living and working in the 50 states of the Union. Period. End of argument.
But every municipality, every state, every town is incorporated. And we're living, like I said, in that artificial construct inside of the real world. We're in the bubble. we're in the fishbowl. And now it's a panopticon of surveillance.
In 1933, the United States once again declared bankruptcy. To make all citizens subject to the repayment of the national debt, the bankers chartered a Delaware corporation known as the Bureau of Internal Revenue. But this corporation was illegally masquerading as part of the government, placing them under constant threat of lawsuit. To escape this litigation, they moved their jurisdiction outside of the United States to Puerto Rico. This occurred in 1953 when they changed their name to the Internal Revenue Service, or IRS, incorporated as a Puerto Rican trust within the division of the Department of the Treasury of the Commonwealth of Puerto Rico. Further proof can be found within the United States Code, which lists the IRS as Trust Fund Number 62, the Puerto Rico Special Fund Internal Revenue. This was done to divert all income tax payments to the International Monetary Fund, owned by the various central banks of Europe and North America, which in turn are owned by the Crown of England.
There is a substantial, conclusive body of evidence that proves that our income tax system represents the most pernicious form of tyranny. It is the greatest hoax ever perpetrated by government against the working men and women of America.
I can eliminate all income taxes tomorrow and have more than enough money to fund the government by using some other guy's bright idea. We tax the Federal Reserve at 0.0006, doubles our money until we decide to put them out of business permanently, because we certainly should not have central banks.
The evidence proving income tax is paid to the United Kingdom is found deep within the IRS.
And by United Kingdom, what are we actually talking about? The Bank of England, where it began. Bank of England, City of London. Oi! They.
Individual master file, which contains every transaction and financial record gathered.
If we're worried about the billions that they send to Israel, everything goes to them. Everything goes to the same cult of child killing, human sacrifice, human misery, poisoning, robbery, and destruction. And like every other great civilization that we built, with all of the amazing architecture, they came here, and there was a history of America that we don't understand or know about, but we only see the remnants of it just before it gets destroyed through these world's fairs. And they weren't just built in 2 years; they were standing, amazing architecture. It was our Roman Empire. It was, even though it's not, I don't think it's connected. It was our people doing what they do, making amazing things, and being a direct threat to minions of a demiurge or whatever that would need to keep mankind in a perpetual state of misery and low level life vibration, whatever you want to call that, so that they're more easily managed
by IRS officials throughout your lifetime. One of these
every time, though, the human spirit rises, creates something amazing, and it's our people that do this. And it's always the same parasitic entity that comes around and knocks us back down to negative, not just to zero, but to negative. And oftentimes wipes out all the adults and redistributes and terrorizes and traumatizes the children.
Codes determines what kind of tax you're paying. After looking this code up within the IRS 6209 manual, you find that they have incorrectly classified all Americans as domiciled corporations in either Guam, the Virgin Islands, or Puerto Rico. Furthermore, all taxpayers that filled out a 1040 form are subject to a tax for doing commerce with the United Kingdom under a treaty with the United States.
There is no law that requires the average American worker in the private sector to pay a direct unapportioned tax on their labor and compensation for services. There is no law.
Think of how crazy it is with Alexander Hamilton, the guy who was born in, he was educated in Jewish schools in the Caribbean and convinced a newly budding America who fought a war to make themselves independent of King George and the banking cult, to just turn right back around and indebt themselves with a central bank with the first 20-year charter.
As you follow the money trail, you find that the taxes collected on the 1040 form is then sent to the Crown of England as a tribute payment. The Crown of England is a sovereign corporation located within the 677 acres of the city, found within the heart of Greater London. This tiny strip of land contains the world's most powerful banking houses, such as the Bank of England and Lloyd's of London, owned by the House of Rothschild. It is these bankers and their counterpart, the Temple Bar attorneys, that constitute the power base known simply as the Crown.
The Temple Bar.
Even though the Queen of England is a member of this club, she is not its corporate head. That job was given to the Pontiff of Rome. The Pope was given control over the monarchy.
And here's the connection, and why it starts to make more sense, and why the Rothschilds in the past would have, well, why the CSKV Trust even applies to us. That happened in 1666, the same time You have Sabotage Zevi declaring that he's the Messiah. You've got the connection with Rome. So this has been going on since the time of the birth of the church with these oives who actually constructed it. And the Jesuits, being crypto-craptos as they were, they filled their role too. And there's still a Counter-Reformation war ongoing. That's also another layer of this.
The signing of the Treaty of 1213 between King John and Pope Innocent III, which forever pledged England as a vassal state of the Holy Roman Empire. In 1297, that treaty was used as a precedent to incorporate the city as an independent city-state controlled by the Vatican, which would govern England without directly relying on the monarchy. Just like how the Corporation of the United States was subject to the Crown of England, so too were the subjects of the British Empire, enslaved with debt by the financial division of the Vatican, headquartered within the City of London. Today, this small clique of bankers have full authority over the affairs of Parliament, and this has been the case since 1694, when Pope Innocent XI hired William
Pope, not that innocent. There's William of Orange.
To depose the Stuart kings and charter the Bank of England. Located within the Crown of England.
See, I know what I'm talking about.
Is the original Federal Reserve Charter, which according to the Farmer Claims legal team, allocates that 67% of the income tax collected by the IRS was be divided to the Crown of England. Another 23% was be paid as a dividend to the 300 shareholders of the Federal Reserve Bank, and the last 10% was be paid to the employees of the IRS.
But why aren't my roads being fixed?
To keep them quiet about this sweet deal. Since 1913, none of the income tax collected by the IRS has gone to the federal government.
Notice how they said 66. They're talking about, or 67. That's 66.6 because it's 2/3. They love that too. The 2/3 needed to pass or ratify. Oh, it's always the 2/3. It's always the 2/3. It's always 66.6.
The federal government is funded totally through black budget sources, such as drug trafficking
Halliburton.
and off-budget accounting on the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report.
And that's not even... Then you got the other layer of BlackRock and all the corporatocracies. Yeah, it's a mess. Anyhow, where were we at? Edward Snowman, thank you very much for being a producer of this broadcast. Without you and people like you, this would not be possible, and I greatly appreciate it wholeheartedly. Christopher Lee Stetler said, negative value at base level, Odin's Oak worth its weight in green painted paper. Thanks, Rome. I cut down the cherry tree. Ooh, cherries. Christopher Lee Settler said, well said. The unincorporated towns have been rusted away. Were that the reason of the railroad eliminations? Yeah, that's a good point, right? Burning the whole fucking place down. Gotta keep them incorporated. That would make me feel a tremendous amount more proud of Jesse James fighting the bank. Yes, sir. You know, the guy who, owns the barbershop that I go to, his name is Jesse James. And he does like demolition derby and stuff like that. He's a cool dude. Let's see. Edward Snowman says, I just talked with my sister for 3 hours. That's cool. Of course, I got to talk to her about serpent cults again. Nice. My biological sister is like my soul twin. That's awesome. I'm so glad that you have that, bud. And our convo drew out a lot that she also resonates with. That is friggin' awesome. Let me click that like button there. And Irvat. Hey, Irvat. How you doing, buddy? 88 said, so based, Edward Snowman. And to a smiley face. And then, you're lucky, Snowy, said Christopher Lee Stetler. Yeah, it's nice to be able to bounce these things off of people that actually are receptive to it. That's why I love doing this, too. I mean, we're all fucked, but we're all fucked together, right? I mean, that's... I think we got a little more going for us than that, but I'm just being funny here. Let's see what we got. Oh, there's more people here. All right, let me see which the best way to read it. Is it easier on this? Kaufman had a... Okay, we said that. Kaufman loves the amazing year. I four-legged... Yeah, okay, yeah, that was Coffee saying this. Yeah, you said you talked over 2 years about microzyme as I was making comments earlier. You've been around for a while, huh, Karen? I thought, yeah, I've been doing these videos since probably late 2018. Started with different names and stuff like that, but then, I think 2019 is when I emerged as the Ballbusters. But before it was like a theory of everything, but there was like 10 other channels that were named that, so I never was seen. So I changed it. One of them was Mission Intuition was another name. Yeah. Karen said, Nagurski, I just unblocked you. Say something here, and if it didn't work, say it on FTJ in case I did it wrong. Rock Monster word of mouth says, but what you showed about the Spanish flu, understand the mask, why I called it a diaper, the cloth mask, the ones that were homemade, popped up, the past being repeated, pandemic, they're going. Yeah, I had a funny video. It's gone now because I think it was on YouTube, but it was the kippas. That might have transferred over to Odyssey. I don't know if it did or not. But they had these people. I was like, it looks like a small hat for your face. This is way back. I was like, it looks like a yarmulke that you just cram in your mouth to, because they want you to know who you're the bitch of, and it's the same shape basically as the mask. And sure enough, I found some college kids that were turning kippas into goddamn masks during COVID, and I was like, the shit writes itself. Like, what is that? They put a strap on it so you can wrap it around your head and right on your face. It literally kippas to masks. Oh man! All in just a new name. I think it's probably was COVID-18. That's PAS, like the candy. Is taught to us. It's taught to U.S. Canadian history and what happened to faces after. Rock Monster, word of mouth says, a new name. COVID-19 has changed from Spanish flu in the first wave. Yeah, but those strain things that we're talking about here, it's not a virus though. The population that's still walking. All right. And then Karen says, that's assuming you believe it was a virus as science attempts to explain it today, if I understood you correctly. I may have misunderstood. Okay, you guys talk to each other. Yeah, they were talking more about. Yeah, they say those things, but those things aren't legitimate. You can't even claim that there's different strains of something when you can't isolate anything and prove that it exists in the first place. Everything built on top of that is still. It's like 0 times 10 is still 0. And EMF, EMR, etc. was ramped up at the same time. You guys are talking to each other. You guys are talking to each other. All right, you guys talk to each other. Prodigal Aaron Son says, sickening. Jews were allowed to get this rich and powerful over us with help of WAS by white Anglo-Saxon Protestants and create banks, especially at federal level, to engage in their treasonous, criminal, parasitic, predatory behavior. Correct? You guys are talking to each other. You guys are talking to each other. This is a serious situation we're in. It isn't some cliche to say we're facing genocide. Exactly. And a lot of people still, will write this off as infotainment so they can go back and, sleep without waking up 15 times. Yeah, it's just infotainment. Yeah, these are just people talking on the internet. It's not as bad. Oh, is it? Okay. Hell yeah. Proper fuck to snatch, bare knuckle, gypsy. It's all good, Lady K. G.I. Joe. Okay, cool. So it was you. Christopher Lee Stacklers, Niggers, Skinner say. Now I understand. That's okay. I didn't put that together before. Who did this? We got 5 over here. Good evening, Genuine Goy. I don't want to look at that right now. I think that's good. That's good. Let's do one of these things real quick while we have an opportunity. Rebecca's home now, which is awesome. We're up to the 3-hour mark here. I like this though. I like the way that came out. I said, make it look more exciting, damn it. Have at it, Mr. Gemini. I was like, cool. So yeah, so a couple things just so people know. If you are a fan of hot sauce, or if you're not, trust me, try mine. They're built different, as people say. I don't like using things that are destroyed like that and manipulated to mean nothing. But yeah, SemperFryLLC.com. If you click that button, you too can be a super cool person. No. If you're on a computer, it looks better, like I had mentioned before. And this is how the layout should look. All right. Rebecca and Daniel are the whole team for Awesome Hot Sauce. They make every sauce, label every bottle by hand, and package every order. Rebecca does the packaging. She's phenomenal at it. She's very good. It says, click image above for 15% off practitioner's manual and other things on his website. And it automatically, if you click it, you'll see it says Ballbusters discounts on it, right? So there's that. Now, this says Food Star for 6% off all sauces and creatine. I have, if you look right here, it says MEM, as in Memorial Day, abbreviated 10, for 10% off until June 3rd. So you have now until June 3rd to get 10% off, and this does work. It does work on the creatine, which is also actually pretty darn cheap for the creatine. It's not monohydrate; it's the hydrochloride. It's the instant activated, right? You don't have to wait for a loading phase like you do with creatine monohydrate. This is the good stuff, and the 100 serving one is $35.99 with 10% off, which is awesome. And all the sauces, except for the bundles, because the bundles have free shipping on domestic shipping. Domestic shipping is free. And if you get a 12-pack of 6 ounces, you get a 12-pack of 12 ounces, you get an 8-pack of 12 ounces. Or if you get the gallon, those are all free shipping, and therefore that code does not apply because you're already getting free shipping. But just make sure that if you're getting one of these bundles, that in the comment section, you're telling me what sauces that you want. And just to keep it making sense here, watch what I'm doing when I'm scrolling down here. So if you're starting here with the original recipe and you're scrolling down, all these are included in those bundle packs all the way up to this one right here, Given the Boot. Okay. Beyond that, they cost more to make. I mean, the slice of life could be added to that too. The slice of life is fine. And if you add the Creator's Gold, I don't think that'd be a big deal. But the Haunted Heat, it costs a lot more to make. So does the Toba, and so does the Brand X, and so do these two. So those ones would not be included in that. So if you're listing out like you want 3 Humzingers, 2 Whippersnappers, 2 Smoke Boss, and so on and so on. If you add one that is not included, I'm going to send you an email just saying, hey, appreciate the order. This one doesn't happen to be in the bracket there, and I'll explain this thing in the email of where the cutoff is, and then you just select something different. Or if I don't hear back, I'll make a selection myself. And if you do place an order with a bundle and you don't tell me what you want in the comments, then I will make good selections for you. Okay? All right. There you go. And MEM 10 for the 10% off. The FTJ Media, become a member for only $5 a month. This is really important to do this before best freaking hot sauces on the planet, says Karen. Thank you, Karen. And she said, thank you again and again and again. I just noticed that there's a thing that there's a reviews. It doesn't show up on my website, so I don't know. Like, I want to make a page and put them all on there. There's reviews that I didn't even know people were giving me. All these 5-star reviews, and it goes back years. And all the wonderful things that people said, like I was reading through them today. I was like, this is awesome. Alex is on there. There's all kinds of these messages. And I was always used to just reading the comments that people type in the comment section, and they're always very positive and kind. And I was like, I should see if I could find all these and start posting them on like my testimonials page, which is really out of date. And then I saw all these reviews. I'm like, holy crap, man! This is like a whole page of itself that I should put on the site. So the ftjmedia.com though, go there. It's $5 a month. And then you're in like Flynn, you're supporting free speech. You're making sure that a free speech platform doesn't go away. And this one is a legitimate one. It's not, I mean, I know it, I know it directly well. So I know who's behind it, what's behind it, and that it's not going to be one of those things that can be shut down on us, provided the people care about it. But I mean, it's shut down by nefarious hands is what I'm getting at. And people won't be deleted as long as you're not inciting stupid things, right? We trust me. Everybody wants to say certain things to get people more motivated, but that doesn't help, because the actual effect is then you have a target on your back from very disgusting people. We've all been discussing just how fucked we are and how, from every angle, and how powerful it is. There is no appeal to somebody. Like, hell is the impossibility of reason. That's like trying to talk to a cop and trying to talk your way out of, or to just explain to them something. They don't ever listen. They're charged by the act of carrying out their dominance on you. They don't want to hear anything. The more you talk, the more they get enraged. Doesn't matter if you're trying to, appeal to their reasoning or the good senses. They don't have those. They don't have sensibilities. They're smiths, basically. They're trying to, and it's like something comes over them, like metaphysically, and they're not really the brightest. So, and there's a reason why. Now it makes sense too. In light of everything we've been discussing, it makes more sense that they're not even trained in the Bill of Rights or law or anything like that, because that doesn't really apply anymore when you're a fictitious entity and treated like property. And property can't own property. So what does that tell you? You already do own nothing, and you haven't complained yet, right? Your warranty deed, your certificate of title, it's all bullshit. If you're still paying property taxes on it, you're paying rent. Right. Not to mention the fact that, with everything that we've discussed, I should be pretty clear that we live in a place that most of us do not recognize as being a constitutional republic. But if you ever try to actually claim your rights in any official capacity, you would have learned already that the way it's supposed to work, it doesn't work. And that's why walking into a court and trying to make sense of things doesn't ever work, unless other things are happening, like, somebody or whatever. It's not, every once in a while, the facade has to be maintained, so they let small things go, and it's like based on this or that, right that you challenged and you convinced, but that's just to keep the facade going. And the Azure standard, let me just go through it real quick. The whole food multivitamin, the whole food, no. The Alaskan cod liver oil, this one right here, it's 1,200 milligrams. Don't pay attention to that. Just look at the bottle. It says 1,200 milligrams. That one, and if you want smaller ones for your children, there's that one. And then you want to get to your Fulvic-Humic blend, which I said is on sale. We just talked about the whole Shilajit thing. The active component in Shilajit is the Fulvic-Humic. And this is where you get your minerals. Okay? Boom. Right there. And you're going to use code BB5 when you get all these. And then the last thing is the IP6 Supreme with inositol, which is right here. That's all of them. And remember, this one right here is about a 3-month supply for one person. So this isn't a monthly thing you have to get. It's every 3 months. You get 4 a year, and you're golden. And I add the core copper, and my daughter and I take this. And if you wanted to grab the whole food C complex, that'd probably be good too. All right. Remember code BP5. Bravo 5. Just like it says. What'd I do? Scroll up. Right here. In the big right there. The bubbly golden letters right there. BB5. 5% off for life. I think that looks pretty cool with the outlining and stuff like that. All right. Okay. So there's all that. It's getting more and more. Hopefully, the details that we've been able to fill in with the incorporation, and we talked about the World's Fair thing. We're gonna get into more of that. We're gonna get some more of the high strangeness. And tomorrow is Monday. Tomorrow is the Memorial Day. So, what do people prefer here? Do you want to do an earlier day? I know right now we're at 10:20 p.m. and I started around, 7? Something like that. I can go earlier. Let's try to do a little bit earlier tomorrow. When my daughter is around, dad is dad, and dad does dad stuff. And when she's gonna be gone for a bit tomorrow, because she's staying at our really good friend's tonight. One of her former gymnastics friends, we've maintained friendship with. Her and her little brother are really good friends of my daughter. Really good family. So she's over there tonight. They very rarely get to do this. So they're taking advantage of it. Happy to see you still streaming on Crusaders. Thank you, bud. I appreciate it. I'm trying not to click the terms of service thing, you know. Okay, those are from yesterday. I think you're probably talking about the Mr. Daniel Goy says narrator is hot. I'm pretty sure you're talking about Sam Bailey and not me. So that has some fun there. Okay, let's see. Am I still selling shirts and tank tops? I want a Bill Cooper was right shirt. That one I made out of gelato from that site. If I can figure out how to incorporate that where people can actually select their own sizes and I don't have to do them piecemeal, I'll try to make it so that people can get those, and they can maybe we'll get a couple different designs. The gelato it used to be cheaper than Create Spring. I haven't really looked into it recently, but when I first signed on, they're like, yeah, 50% off everything. It's like, cool. And I was about to go to the Red Pill Expo, and I ordered them, and apparently they were being made in Germany. They don't tell you that, so they didn't arrive until like weeks after I got back from the expo. So I didn't have them for that thing because I had my name on the sleeve. The only reason why I put my name on the sleeve because I was going to use it as like my press shirt, kind of, you know. Well, it's like a promo shirt. Are you still yes, Elias says take care and gas you on Rumble. Oh, Rivas says, yeah, yep, hooray for me. I'm a horse. Calling the cavalry. Circle the wagons. I have a circle on my own. Nagurski has blazing saddles. Right down. The sheriff is a. Yeah. The sheriff. No, the sheriff is a. Yeah, that's great. That was like the old prospector dude. Is the benevolent creator a man, a woman, a family, an alien, or a simple force? I think it's more like the latter. It's an entity, and maybe I don't know, but whatever in imparts the understanding of empathy, compassion, love, and a sense of right and wrong inherently within us, intuitively, and that we get spontaneous thought generation. That's something that's communicating with you. So not everybody has that, and if you go through your life thinking that everybody's like that, that's when you run into trouble. Because if you never realize that you're working against something with the assumption that it's something else, I think the world will make a lot less sense, and people will seem very cold. And then you'll maybe sometimes think it's you, and it's not. It's because you're not dealing with people who have the ability to empathize with others, or to have compassion, or give a shit about. They're indifferent to human suffering, some of them, and some of them are just incapable of the comprehension, and they don't have the spontaneous thought generation, or what we would call intuition, or inspiration. You know, they're not having epiphany of any sort. They don't wake up with a brand new thought in their head. They don't even. Some people don't even think in like pictures. They don't even have the imagery. It's like you can't. That's so they say anyway. It's a family of different kinds of people who had compatible ideas, with each kind producing good and protecting from evil in its own dimension. And these kinds had faced death together and happened to agree on life. And the kinds are bonded together in cooperation and love. I like that. I like that a lot. I'm very thankful for my virtual friends that I have made being here doing this. You got we're our own therapy group, like as far as sanity goes, and it's definitely greatly appreciated. You guys show up, and I think for now we'll call it. We'll give Genuine Goy here another shot of the girl, because I think that's what he was talking about. There she is. Maybe not the best still shot of her, but
in the history, as we wrote in our.
I thought she was smiling there, but the thing is not accurate to what's actually happening on the screen. So yeah, the DDT thing. We should look into that a little bit more. Should I play this while I get up and talk to Rebecca? Should we do this as the last thing? Last hurrah, do it again. The rascal king behind the bars, or the world in front of him. Right? All right, let's do it.
When it comes to polio, the mainstream have a particularly difficult task trying to explain the history. As we wrote in our new book, The Final Pandemic, apart from the virologist's usual problems of not being able to demonstrate that a virus has been physically isolated and shown to cause polio, the historical patterns of outbreaks are also more than a little suspicious. Although there are accounts of what is believed to be polio in some ancient depictions, prior to 1900, it was not considered a disease of any significant burden to humanity. But then for some reason, the pattern completely changed. And here enters the organochlorine compounds, some of which are notorious environmental poisons that have even been employed as chemical weapons. One of their members is DDT, which found widespread use as an insecticide in many countries in the middle of last century. What may be underappreciated is that while it should never have been released at all, DDT is still used today, and there is even a United Nations treaty, the Stockholm Convention, acting as an apologist agency for its continued use.
Because we're fighting a total war, our forces must be marshaled against every enemy, unseen as well as seen, in every place, all of the time. Millions of insects constitute an important part of our foes.
It begins with the war-born development of DDT. This diabolical weapon of modern science saved millions of humans, but killed billions of insects. Man, with this newly discovered force, has at long last gained the upper hand in our age-old struggle.
Dichloro-diphenyl trichloroethane. I'm only going to say it once, and it is no surprise that almost everyone uses the acronym DDT. The Austrian chemist Othmar Zeidler is reported to have discovered the compound in 1874. Interestingly, he didn't win a Nobel Prize, but one was later awarded to Paul Hermann Müller when he, quote, discovered in 1939 that DDT was a potent insecticide. According to Wikipedia, this meant it could be used in the control of malaria and yellow fever. You can see my video on yellow fever to see why this is a misplaced belief, and DDT would not help in this regard. It is also clearly evident that Wikipedia and other mainstream sources are hiding a great deal about the history of DDT. However, just as there were those of us exposing the COVID-19 fraud as it unfolded, there were pioneers exposing the polio scandal as it unfolded, and one of the best in this regard was Dr. Morton Biskind. Some of you will already be familiar with this name, as we cited his work in both Virus Mania and the Final Pandemic. His contributions were very significant, and his 1953 paper, Public Health Aspects of the New Insecticide, is worth quoting at length. In 1945, against the advice of investigators who had studied the pharmacology of the compound and found it dangerous for all forms of life, DDT was released in the United States and other countries for general use by the public as an insecticide. Contrary to popular opinion, DDT was not the first of the chlorinated cyclic hydrocarbons to be studied for its pesticidal properties, nor indeed is it the most potent compound of the group. In 1934, 4 years before DDT was introduced for this purpose in Switzerland, an American entomologist reported on the insecticidal properties of the chlorinated naphthalines, compounds shown shortly thereafter to be extremely toxic for man. In 1950, a year in which more than 200 million pounds of insecticides were used in agriculture alone in this country, investigators of the Federal Food and Drug Administration announced, the finding of hepatic cell alteration at dietary levels as low as 5 parts per million of DDT and the considerable storage of the chemical at levels that might well occur in some human diets make it extremely likely that the potential hazard of DDT has been underestimated. In 1951, the United States Public Health Service pointed out, DDT is...
And remember, they started spraying DDT 1945. In January of 1945, sorry, something stuck in my throat. They started fluoridating the water. After the banking conquest throughout Europe that we facilitated, they started poisoning us at home.
a delayed...
Not started, but ramped it up.
...action poison. Due to the fact that it accumulates in the body tissues, especially in females, the repeated inhalation or ingestion of DDT constitutes a distinct health hazard. The deleterious effects are manifested principally in the liver, spleen, kidneys, and spinal cord. DDT is excreted in the milk of cows and of nursing mothers after exposure to DDT sprays and after consuming food contaminated with this poison. Children and infants especially are much more susceptible to poisoning than adults. In 1952, the US Department of Agriculture indicated that the chlorinated naphthalines had been implicated as a cause of X disease, or hyperkeratosis in cattle, a usually fatal malady that has destroyed many thousands of animals in the United States in recent years. Just when chlorinated naphthalines were first used in agriculture is not indicated in published reports, but it appears that they have been thus employed for some years and that they have been added to or have occurred as contaminants of other products used as insecticides. In addition, they have been used for some time in lubricants, greases, cutting oils, and crankcase oils. For what purpose is not made clear, and they have appeared in certain wood preservatives. In a footnote, Dr. Biskin noted that crankcase oils and other lubricants pose other public health problems. Inhalation of these substances from motor exhaust on streets and highways, and dermal absorption on the part of garage, service station, and industrial workers.
But don't worry, everybody. You get sick because of viruses, certainly not because of the toxic environment.
Since the last war, there have been a number of curious changes in the incidence of certain ailments and the development of new syndromes never before observed. A most significant feature of the situation is that both man and all his domestic animals have simultaneously been affected. In man, the incidence of poliomyelitis has risen sharply. There has been a striking increase in cardiovascular diseases, in cancer, in atypical pneumonias, and especially interstitial pneumonitis in babies and children, in retrolental fibroplasia among premature infants, in conditions involving excessive fatigability and muscular weakness, in hepatitis, and in obscure gastrointestinal and neuropsychiatric disorders, often attributed to a new, quote, virus. When
Right.
in 1945 DDT was
Look at
released
the kids.
for use by the general public in the United States and other countries, an
Look at this.
impressive background of toxicologic
Blasted the kids right in the
investigations
face.
had already shown beyond doubt that this compound was dangerous for all animal life, from insects to mammals. In rats, mice, rabbits, guinea pigs, cats, dogs, chicks, goats, sheep, cattle, horses, and monkeys, DDT produces functional disturbances and degenerative changes in the skin, liver, gallbladder, lungs, kidneys, spleen, thyroid, adrenals, ovaries, testicles, heart muscle, blood vessels, voluntary muscles, the brain and spinal cord, and peripheral nerves, gastrointestinal tract, and blood. It was even known by 1945 that DDT is stored in the body fat of mammals and appears in the milk. With this foreknowledge, the series...
This is one of those other things when people have a rapid fat loss. They tell you to do a detox because those toxins are now being released in you, and if you're not mineralized, those things can definitely. You ever hear of the people talk about the keto flu? And people are on keto, they start to lose a lot of weight, and whatever toxins are stored in their tissues are now circulating around in them. Your body's storing the shit that's bad for it away from it, and then when it gets released, it's got to deal with it again.
Catastrophic events that followed the most intensive campaign of mass poisoning in known human history should not have surprised the experts.
Oh, don't worry, PFAS is on the list for the next one, and the data centers will be responsible for that.
Yet far from admitting a causal relationship.
And they spray. They had PFAS, the forever chemicals, were also in the types of fertilizers that they were. I think they were greener bio, whatever the hell they call it. That they were pushing on the farmers. The factory farming, not just that, but anybody trying to compete to just have whatever type of life, all affected because of the yield. The yield is where the money's made for the loans that they keep you in a perpetual need for this, production, because you're taking out loans and then you're trying to overcome the loan and make a profit each season. And if you fall short, well, then you're fucked and you're out of business.
Obvious that in any other field of biology it would be instantly accepted. Virtually the entire apparatus of communication, lay and scientific alike, has been devoted to denying, concealing, suppressing, distorting, and attempts to convert into its opposite, the overwhelming evidence. Dr. Biskind went on to say that a new principle of toxicology has, it seems, become firmly entrenched in the literature. No matter how lethal a poison may be for all other forms of animal life, if it doesn't kill human beings instantly, it is safe. Keep in mind, he wrote all of this in 1953. We'll now jump forward in time to introduce the Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants, commonly known as the Stockholm Convention. This is an international treaty that was signed in 2001 and apparently effective from the 17th of May 2004. An article in the American Journal of International Law stated that The Stockholm Convention is designed to protect human health and the environment from persistent organic pollutants, chemical substances that are persistent and toxic that bioaccumulate in fatty tissue, achieving higher concentrations as they move up a particular food chain, and that are prone to long-range environmental transport. So far, so good. But then we come to the Stockholm Convention Effectiveness Evaluation 2023 highlights, which states that the best known toxic effect of DDT is eggshell thinning among birds, especially birds of prey. The short-term acute effects of DDT on humans are limited, but long-term exposures have been associated with chronic health effects. DDT has been detected in breast milk, raising serious concerns about infant health. These comments indicate that there is something majorly wrong with this convention, making out that not much is known about the effects of DDT when it had already been noted by the 1940s to have a number of specific and devastating effects on all exposed animals.
Right. That's why they used it. It was because it was poisonous. Once you understand the world that you live in and who's running it and what they think of the goy, it all makes sense.
As well as the associated rise in human polio cases shortly after it went into widespread use. But you'll note the word polio does not appear once in this highlights document, nor does it appear once in the full 125-page report they produced in 2023. Also of note is that most countries in the world had representatives at the Geneva meeting. Back to the Stockholm Convention highlights sheet, which states that in 2022, the DDT expert group estimated that the total...
Doesn't it bother you that people come together in different countries or wherever they happen to come together and they make decisions that affect your life without any of your input? And these are, again, more indicative of a corporate meeting. And you would think, well, these people don't have any power in our country. Why do they get implemented? It's all corporate entanglement. That's why. So somebody over the World Economic Forum or the UN or whatever the hell is gonna lay out the plan, and it's gonna be detrimental to human life, and that's exactly the way they like it.
Global production of DDT.
But they'll mask it and say it's for climate concerns. We have a climate czar named John Kerry and this, that, and the other thing. So. But until it becomes, what do you call it? Inconvenient to them. Speaking of inconvenient truth, Al Gore. Yeah, the data centers with all of their poisoning and their heating of the atmosphere and all this other stuff. No, that has nothing to do with any of the climate change. You're absolutely wrong. That's fine. That's perfectly fine because it's going to kill a lot of people, and it's also going to potentially be housing a bunch of people. And where's the water all going again? Where did it all disappear to?
Vector control had declined by 83% in 2020 to 1,071 tonnes of active ingredient in comparison to 2005, when the DDT expert group had estimated global production at 6,269 tonnes. To the uninitiated, that may sound positive, but this is a complete travesty. Why is any DDT still in use at all, let alone at more than 1,000 tonnes a year? And given the other cover-ups evidently going on here, we have to be sceptical about this, quote, estimated amount, which could easily be more in reality. This chemical is completely toxic for all animals, should never have been used at all, and yet 80 years later, the, quote, experts are advising a tapering campaign. They justify such nonsense by stating that DDT is currently listed in Annex B to the Stockholm Convention, with its production and or use restricted for disease vector control purposes, when no equally effective and efficient alternative is available, and in accordance with related World Health Organization, WHO recommendations and guidelines. This is the same kind of garbage that was used when DDT was rolled out in many countries in the middle of last century. They claimed that mosquitoes were the cause of polio, and that it could be controlled by spraying crops, animals, and sometimes people directly with the toxic chemical.
What the fuck?
When the cases of polio went up, the, quote, virus was used as a cover story. And in areas where the damage to humans was worse, it was said to be due to a more virulent strain of the imaginary
Yes, strains. Yes. Okay. It's totally the strains, not because they're continuing to poison you. Oh, there's no isolation. So how are you talking about different variants of something that you can't even identify? And then, PCR test checks for and then blah blah blah. Here's this computer. Throw together a bunch of proteins and then tell me and then it does it. It's a computer model, and you're like, oh look, now let's make a test that will look for this thing that doesn't exist in nature. Oh look, all those components are found. The RT-PCR puts them together for you, and then you say, oh look, that person's positive. They're positive for being human because all those components are part of the human. So you technically are always going to be positive, and the fact that you become negative, it's just more of the bullshit of the test. That's why it's like if you subject yourself to a PCR test for any of these nonsensical things, you're basically handing over consent for them to give you a fraudulent response, because it's the only response it can be, whether it's negative or positive, because it says you're talking about bullshit in the first place. And then if they say, oh, you need to be quarantined for 2 weeks and taken away from your family, it's like you let them do that because you let them give you a test. When they tried to do that to me because I had a broken hand, I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And they canceled my surgery twice. I was supposed to get pins in the plate. I'm glad I didn't, but I do have some messed up thumb now because of that. I think it's jerks. You'd think you'd be able to sue for that. You'd think you'd be able to make quite a lot. My finger's crooked and my thumb is all jacked up. It's not in the place it's supposed to be. It's all like pushed forward like this.
Virus. When we examine this interactive map, note the pattern of how polio disappeared first from the developed countries that started banning or seriously curtailing the use of DDT, including those with big epidemics such as New Zealand, Australia, Britain and the United States. Also to be considered is that DDT degrades very slowly in nature, with a half-life of 10 to 20 years. It passes through the food chain, with a tendency to concentrate in the fatty tissue of humans and animals. So even after application stops, the danger persists for several years afterwards. For example, this chart shows the detection of a DDT metabolite in human milk being much higher in Europe in 1972, before falling dramatically in subsequent decades. Into the 2000s, and the cases of polio persist in India and Africa, the two places that continued to use tons of DDT on their territories. The medico-pharmaceutical industry claims this was due to lower vaccination rates in those countries. How many...
Yeah, that in comes the Gates Foundation to make sure that they can sterilize and sicken populations, and if you can't get away with it over in America, well, let's do it to India and Africa. Mixed emotions about that one, but whatever.
Inconsistencies do they expect the public to swallow? They claim that their imagined polio virus has been around since ancient times.
Bullshit.
And yet epidemics were only a feature following the introduction of chemical insecticides such as Paris green in the 1860s, lead arsenate in the 1890s, and then DDT in the 1940s. Of course, like most diseases, there are other ways to make polio cases go up or down. After the introduction of the polio vaccine in the mid-1950s, new neurological diseases started being classified to make it appear as though
Guillain-Barré.
vaccines were preventing new cases.
Right,
This
they just give it a new name.
continued into the modern era. For example, in the early 2000s, when it appeared that polio cases were remaining fairly static or reducing, while the cases being classified as the suspiciously similar acute flaccid paralysis were on the rise. The explanation for the rise in acute flaccid paralysis is said to be more viruses. Wikipedia states that acute flaccid paralysis is also associated with a number of other pathogenic agents, including enteroviruses other than polio, ecoviruses, West Nile virus, and adenoviruses, among others. And how did they find all these alleged viruses? By taking fecal samples and mixing them with cell lines. As stated in the method section of the reference paper, the isolation of enteroviruses was determined by observation of cytopathic effect, We have dealt with the pseudoscience involved in this technique many times previously, and keep an eye out for a new paper that my husband Mark is about to publish, exposing the ultimate reason why their cell culture technique can never be legitimate. The complete ignoring of toxicology and the use of virology as a cover story
Exactly.
has been noted by other...
The Jews poison you, and they blame a fucking unicorn. I've been saying this. She's now saying this. We need to get our heads out of our arses when it comes to any kind of talk about a virus or strain or this, that, the other thing. That's not even how it works.
researchers.
And I mentioned this earlier. The signal or even if a bacteria that is allegedly bad gets in your mouth or something like that, it's not going to propagate like that unless the environment within it is all screwed up already, and it's a breeding ground with plenty of the stuff that the bacteria chews on. But even then, it's a signal to your microzyma to produce more of those things, because it's just like if you were taking a homeopathic, the law of similars, it gives them the information, the line of code, the information that it needs in order to fix itself. Well, the same thing would happen if it's bad information, but you're at a weakened state, so it runs that program anyway and creates more of the same. So it's not really the thing, it's the information, or it's the signal that makes other things in your body respond. Because the pleomorphic microzyma create this environment, but it can also be corrected by giving it the proper information and the proper nutrients so that it's not as susceptible to these types of outside stresses.
F. William Engdahl. In 2022, he published the essay Toxicology versus Virology, Rockefeller Institute and the Criminal Polio Fraud, and I subsequently produced a video version of the essay. It was so popular that we received a fact check that reassured the public that polio was caused by a virus. Interestingly, the fact check article made no mention of William, no mention of me, and no mention of the arguments that had been advanced. It simply quoted institutionalized individuals such as Vincent Racaniello, who mindlessly repeated what can be found on Wikipedia entries. In any case, the desperation for the establishment to maintain the virus and vaccine myth has become quite a spectacle, as too many people became aware of DDT and other chemical toxins. Jim West is another notable independent researcher, and many of you will be familiar with his charts, demonstrating the unmistakable correlation between chemical pesticides and the incidence of polio. Much of his research has also led him to conclude that viruses are invented as a cover story for the real causes of toxicity. You can listen to my 2022 interview with Jim, where he talks about this and the tragic capture of the medical system.
Maybe we'll do that next episode, because it sounds like it would work well into maybe helping people understand why viruses are a big fat fucking lie.
The links in the description. Coming back to the Stockholm Convention, the Wikipedia page aids in the gaslighting under the so-called controversy section. While any sane person would realise that the only controversy is that any DDT went into the environment in the first place, they state that, although some critics have alleged that the treaty is responsible for the continuing death toll from malaria, in reality, the treaty specifically permits the public health use of DDT for the control of mosquitoes. This phony war against germs is in fact a war.
Well, if you're so against mosquitoes being these flying syringes as they are, why do you let Bill Gates deploy shit tons of them in America? Why is that happening? Why are they now deploying ticks?
Nature.
Because if they have them in the environment, they don't have to even do anything. They can tell you that they're doing all these things, but all they're going to do is poison you in some other way, or have been poisoning you in some other way. And when it finally reaches the point where people finally fall ill because of the time it takes for them to be to the point of illness, oh, it's a virus. It's a virus. Probably spread by those ticks. Probably spread by those mosquitoes. Uh-huh. That's what it is. Certainly not just deliberate poisoning by Jews.
And humanity. Our world is pro-life, and the microbes are not our foes. DDT is a prime example of what our world doesn't need, and the carnage it has caused and continues to cause is a disgrace. This is why we continue to expose the fraud of virology and germ theory and their related cover stories. Once people can see through this, they are on the path to a better understanding of personal health and a better world. Neither us nor our environment have any chemical deficiencies, and far from being our enemies, the microbes are part of our terrain and essential to keep us alive and well.
Agreed. Anything that's found in nature isn't trying to kill you. It's just one of those things where you have to understand your place in it and stop trying to play God. But that's what the Jews do. They try to convince you that the natural is it's trying to kill you because they don't want. It's another way of saying God doesn't exist or that there's no intelligent design and everything's material and an accident. Life is an accident. Consciousness is an accident. It's all a process of biochemicals and. That was an accident and everything's you're just a fucking accident. I don't buy that. They're an accident. I agree with that. Let's see. Oh, let's see what we got going here. Let's see. Did I say it wrong? Is that what you're telling me? Compatible values? Did I say ideas? I did. I don't think I did, but okay. Hooray, said Irvat. And then Dr. Sam Bailey is on YouTube. Fuck yeah, said Irvat. Snowy, I'm so proud of my grandfathers. But I guess start talking to each other. Also, if we don't face the dragon, there won't be a Shire. Okay, you guys are talking to each other. Yeah, we I don't know if you were here yesterday, but we did some of her stuff before. Dr. Sam Bailey is also in the more later editions of the Virus Mania book. She's part of that. It's a Build-A-Bear conference. Jeez. I hope she wins her legal battles against the Marxist OAVs in New Zealand. Yeah, like I said, the Odyssey is ripping out some of her videos down because it's just a black screen when you go to it. And so I had to go to BitChute for some. That's why some of the quality is a little bad on the. I can't imagine what would be sticking on YouTube when it comes to their very militant medical misinformation bullshit. They took down Dr. Glidden's talks. That's why I stopped streaming over there. Not that that matters anymore. They took down the whole channel now. Alrighty. Well, thank you, everybody. Have a great evening. It's 11 p.m. here. I've already done all of my exercise for the day, and I'm probably going to just chill. Just thinking about how I wish my buddy was here. She's out at her friend's house now, so that's all right. Oh, it says, now kiss. Dan, the news said that Tick... Dan, the news said that Tick hadn't made it past the Appalachians on all the TV networks back in 2019. I had ticks falling from the sky after large jets went by. Thought I was losing my mind. Happened repeatedly. I utilized a flame torch within my garden. Holy crap. Good night, Dan. Good night, Christopher. What is this? Amigos falling from the sky? Remember that from Three Amigos? Wait, what is this? Amigos falling from the sky? All right. Gotta find the place. And oh yeah, just one last thing. We are here on FTJ, and you should support it for just that much a month. $5. $5 a month. Do it. You can do it. Yes. So he's backward. There we go. Make America less gay. Join FTJ. I mean, that's a bumper sticker, right? We should make stickers. All right. Good night.